Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Main Character Syndrome. I'm your host, Cheesymanfredo, aka Alfredo Morales, and with me here always, my better half, Julian, my Julian.
That's me.
Hello, Julian.
Hello, everybody.
There he is. Please ignore the whimpering dog in the background. If you acknowledge the dog in the background, I will fucking kill it.
No, I like that dog.
Yeah. Exact. Boom. Then stop. Yeah. Don't mention the dog. Anyone who mentions the dog, I cut off one of his toes.
that doesn't. If you want to prevent the noise, you should cut off its tongue or something. That doesn't solve the problem.
Let's not suggest violence.
Okay.
First rule of Dog Club: don't talk about the dog.
Don't talk about the dog. First person to talk about the dog. Yeah, I kill it. Just boom. Just usually get one chance. That's it. There's no warning. But with that being said, let's say a big old thank you to our previous guest, Ben Saint and Mimiori. Me and Mimiori just finished the comic recently, and it's really good. You should all read it. It's on Mimiori's Twitter. It's on her TikTok. It's on her Instagram. It's probably somewhere else. It's a really good comic. We've been working on it for like a year now. It's short. It's like under 35 pages. It'll blow your mind. It's got a crazy little twist that I fully explained on the last episode. So if you haven't seen the last episode, make sure you read our comic, Extra Souls, before you do that. But enough about them. Let's talk about back again. We have Gloomy. Say hello, Gloomy.
Hello, Gloomy.
Gloomy. She makes comics.
I do.
You know that? She does a cat girlfriend. Yeah, that's very, very popular comic about having a cat girlfriend. Really, really super stuff going on there.
Thank you.
And
it's not depressing at all.
Yeah, it's not depressing at all. And here for the first time, we got Holly.
Hello.
Say hello, Holly.
I'm Holly Dittus.
Yeah.
I usually say first and last name because people usually don't do that. They usually have a screen name or just like one name.
You want to stand out.
I'm old fashioned in that respect.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. And she's responsible for another webcomic. She also does comics. She's been doing it for a good while now. She I think her current one. Well, she's got two current ones, but it's Turcom. And I woke up as a girl, right?
It's the full title is You Woke Up as a Girl This Morning! Exclamation point question mark. The exclamation
You
point question
woke
mark.
up as a girl this morning.
Yeah.
You, the listener.
Yeah.
Nice. What's that one about?
I'd like it if whoever is gonna listen to this not even went and read all that exists of it, but read the first 4-page chapter, which can be found on webtoons or manga decks, or just pinned on my Twitter at HDITTUS13. Most of the chapters are 4-ish pages. Sometimes they're longer. It's one of those series that has a chapter 1 twist that is the premise for the rest of the series.
Nice.
But if you're continuing to listen past this point, I'm assuming you already know what the deal is. But I'll describe it for the sake of it. It's
go read it right now. Yeah. Before she says the twist. Spoiler, she's gonna say the twist. A big twist about her comic, so go read it right now.
Yeah, the big twist that happens on page 4.
Right. So what's the big twist that happens on page 4?
You know that whole genre of gender bend comics and manga and shit. Where I mean the whole reason that I had the name be so specific was not just a blanketed riff on light novel titles or whatever, but because you really have to be fucking specific with these to not already do a title that somebody else has done. Because if you go into manga decks and type in Woke Up as a Girl, there's 17 different manga with that title, and a lot of it is repressed trans wish fulfillment shit by people who don't understand how to sort out those feelings, and a lot of it is just a lack of understanding of that stuff. But a lot of people like me were raised on shit like that. Like, you know, like Rama 1/2 isn't a good example of like the kind of thing I'm talking about, but it's like probably the first thing people think about when they think like oh, gender bend manga or something where the core premise is related to that. But yeah, the thing with this is that the main character just sort of like goes to school one day and says like, oh yeah, I woke up as a girl while boarding or whatever. Like, oh, I had the TS disease, the generic thing that comics about this nowadays don't even like really go into it. Like a lot of you wouldn't be blamed for thinking that the characters are just lying about having gotten some disease that swapped their sex or whatever, because they like don't go into it. They just have it be a completely normal slice of life romance comedy, except in the first chapter the main character just like woke up as a girl, and it's like completely normal and different from that. And it's like at that point it's like completely grounded. Like you could just have this like this person just like doesn't know what trans people are or something, you know. A lot of it is just a lack of information. So me coming from, and like I sound like a bitter bitch right now probably by saying that, but I like a lot of manga and comics and shit like that. Like that shit raised me. But like I really was just seeing a lack of the kind of thing that I wanted to see. So I just made this comic where the main character just like lied about that, assuming that people would accept the idea that they had been magically gender bent easier than just like being trans. And that's the ending twist of chapter 1. Like the first 3 pages are just kind of like just kind of like how a comic like this usually goes, and then it's like, oh boy, I hope people don't figure out my secret or whatever.
I really love that twist. I thought it was really good. It really
I
did,
really like that.
It really did hook me when I first read it. 'Cause I was like, oh, this seems interesting, and then when it got to the end, I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah, the whole angle of like people might be more accepting of if I magically change my gender instead of
against my will,
actually
even
being trans. Yeah, exactly. Which is so it's it's social commentary, right? It's saying something about what's going on right now with a lot of people.
It is pretty solid. Like when you have that kind of story, you don't want people to get in like 13 chapters and then go, why am I here again? So that's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it stand out.
Yeah, I try and reframe the core premise of the series with like every chapter or something like that. Like it gets more difficult to do as it goes on, but it's.
No, I get you.
I want to keep it continually interesting, and a balance of like. You know what people like about these comics, because like it's not. I hate when people do like mean-spirited takedowns of genres or whatever. Like
the Blades.
I hate romance manga, so I'm gonna make a romance manga where nobody falls in love and the main character kills himself or something.
Nice.
I don't like. This is somebody who was. This is coming from somebody who was raised on that kind of shit, and has things, and I have things that I like about it, and I have things that I don't like about it, and I'm just like blending that with the things I like and don't like about more explicit trans fiction, because on the opposite end of the spectrum, like if your typical gender bend manga is like coming from, this is somebody who doesn't even want to think about the existence of trans people, or like is using it as a vent for their feelings or whatever. The opposite end of the spectrum is like sort of like Western comics, where I'm not gonna say like it's so forced, man, because like the existence of trans people in those works, or even if you wanted to make like a like a comic where like most of the cast is gay and trans and stuff like that. Like that's not what I'm talking about, because that's just like you just fucking wanted to
That's
have
fine.
you just wanted to fucking have most of your cast be that because that's what you feel like writing. Like that's cool. What I'm talking about is like a lot of the time when you go into comics or like any story in general, and characters just are phrasing things in a way like, "Hi, I'm X, and I use she/her pronouns." Like that's fine in real life and stuff like that. Like this is not me going against that. Like I'm pro that, but when I think about like the media that I wanted when I was younger, I didn't want something that assumed that I already knew all that shit, you know? Like I wanted to make it from the perspective of like I want to make something from the perspective of I'm I'm the main audience for this. Like it's not the main people that read it, because the main people that read it are like people that come from a perspective similar to mine from what I've been able to see. But my sole wish with this is that some like 14-year-old kid or whatever that isn't that educated about this shit sees it and is like, oh, innocuous gender bin / cross-dressing manga, don't mind if I do. And it's like and it slowly eases into that stuff, rather than beating you over the head with it or demonstrating a complete lack of knowledge of it. I kind of want a middle ground between those two things.
No, I get you, and I feel like that's kind of like tough to do because it's so like specific, you know, and you know all about like making like creative projects and whatnot, and how sometimes you want to prioritize like a certain feeling, or you want to make people feel a certain way about something. I mean, it basically just sounds like you're trying to like make the manga you would have wanted as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, and that's rad AF. I like that.
Thank
I
you.
dig that.
I totally know what you mean, because like I feel like the comic that I'm making is very much coming at a critical lens of like those mangas and like stories where there's like some like magical fairy pixie girl or whoever who just randomly comes into this loser guy's life, and like
I fucking hate those.
but I like took it from like a psychological drama perspective.
What's the name of your comic again? I'm sorry that I like didn't know about your existence before we started this, because like Cheesy just approached me and was like, "Hey, want to come on the podcast?" And I was like, "Cool." And then I was like, "So is it like just you and Julian?" And
it's me and Julian and people that I think might be cool if they were in the same
oh yeah, no,
podcast
I mean,
together.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's your approach to the podcast in general. I just meant this episode.
This was the girl episode. We're doing the girl episode again.
For this episode, I am now a girl.
Yeah, me too.
For this
only
episode
for
only.
this episode, I've eaten the. Was it which one is the burger with the fucking estrogen in it? It's the Impossible.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
the Impossible Whopper.
It's the Whopper. Is it Whopper or Burger?
It's a burger. Whopper is the Burger King one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and Burger King, yeah, it's
yeah
the Impossible Burger or something like that.
You
Yeah,
woke
it's
up
the Impossible
listening.
Whopper.
I've been microdosing it.
Yeah, you woke up listening to the Main Character Syndrome podcast this morning.
I might title this episode "You Woke Up as a Cat Girlfriend."
That's
I think that's
awesome.
a funny title.
But yeah, tell me
Right, exactly.
tell me the full in quotes title of your webcomic so I may look it up for visual reference.
It's just Catgirl on Webtoons.
I keep calling it Cat Girlfriend in my head. Yeah, it is Cat Girl. It's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The whole thing is like a sci-fi drama where like there's these genetically engineered like cat people that they're using as like companions for lonely guys.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, that's them right there.
Is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty good. and it has no set schedule. It's usually when Gloomy has a good idea
It's
for
literally
for a
just
comic.
whenever I have time.
That's for the better. Who
Yeah,
cares?
same here. It's even. I'm not gonna say. Uh, it's like, oh, it's even harder for me or whatever. But like, I the it's I do two web comics, so it's hard for me to like figure out how to balance them because one of them is very clearly more popular than the other. Uh,
Hmm.
Yep,
like
that's how it is.
like uh Tiercom is like the emotional vent passion project that I've been stewing in my brain since high school, and have been like working on for 3 years. And Woke Up as a Girl is the thing that takes much less effort to do that I've been doing for a year, that gets like way more attention, and it's like it's hard not to feel like ungrateful when I get bitter about that.
Hmm.
Uh,
Mm,
but like,
no, I gotcha.
yeah, I
Yeah,
I think
but
it's just because it resonates with so many people,
oh
right? I
yeah, no,
mean,
I
I
mean it's I
I think
it's not like I don't put
also
heart.
you get the premise for the title too, right? And people like that's easier for people to digest.
Yeah,
You know,
with Tiercom,
uh,
I basically entirely made it assuming this is a very unmarketable thing, and
oh yeah,
basically part of Woke Up as a Girl is a concept that had been floating around in my head for a bit, but I hadn't like thought about it until basically like a few months before it came out. But
hmm.
the what gave me like the big push to like actually sit down and put it out was uh being like, okay, I feel like having a really fucking successful webcomic now, or whatever. Like I, I, I really like didn't want to like get too big in my own britches, but just like out of uh from like talking in like trans communities for so long and like seeing how people talk about gender bend comics and how people talk about trans comics and manga, etc. uh I just sort of picked up on like all these things people had been wanting that I had been wanting too, that nobody seemed to have done or executed, or like people had tried but not in like a way that I found to be ideal. And I was just like, I think this is the thing that I'm gonna make that I have the most confidence will like be read by a decent amount of people. Like I've never had that feeling before, where like I was like, people are gonna read this because like I've because like I just usually I usually just make shit that I feel like making. Uh,
Yeah.
and this is one of the few times where the things I feel like making perfectly lined up with what I assumed people would also like that aren't me.
that's a
Uh,
beautiful moment when those stars aligned.
yeah, it was.
Hmm.
Do you ever get like scared though when you or like anxious because there's like so many eyes on you?
I don't. I mean, like I'm talking like I'm on top of the fucking world, but like this is like not very popular. It's just like way more popular than anything I've ever had has been.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
none of us are like doing like huge numbers. We're not doing like Shen comic numbers
Oh no,
at
not
all.
like that. Like we're all very niche.
Yeah, the
Yeah, exactly.
Some of us are a bit too niche.
Yeah, not gonna say who. Not gonna point out who's a little too niche
yeah.
for their own
I
good.
by the way,
Not gonna say who,
cheesy,
but
cheesy. I
yes.
just want to tell you, keep doing what you're doing. You make good shit.
Thank you.
You,
Thank you.
I, Villainverse was awesome, and I want to read more of that.
Oh, yeah, I've been Villainverse. I said this before in other episodes, but I love repeating myself. But basically, it's on hiatus for the moment once I fix my financial situation.
Yeah,
But I'm gonna finish it. That one has an ending. Oh, we're halfway through it. It has an ending, and I think we're gonna love the ending. And once it's all completed, I think people are gonna appreciate it 10 times more. Something funny that's gonna happen is that when people read the next chapter of Villainverse, they're gonna notice a giant leap in like quality in the middle, and art wise, the writing's gonna stay the same because I'm not gonna change the outline at this
yeah.
point. But art wise, it's gonna really jump up because I feel like I've gotten better since I paused it back in like January. It's yeah, it's been great. But recently I have been kind of doing the whole like what you were saying. I just kind of drawing whatever you feel like. That's kind of like what those little I call them fart comics, but it's like those random like 4 panel comics that just draw like really just stupid
Well,
jokes.
you also just put shit out like McPagliacci, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I did just do McPuglachi. Fuck, sometimes I
Is that how you
forget.
say?
I don't care.
That's my approach. That's my approach to the title of Tiercom as well.
Yeah, whatever worked for you. One time I spoke to an actual Italian person, and he told me, he said the name of the opera, and it was like, oh, is that how you pronounce it? And I've heard people pronounce it with an O at the end, and I'm like, I don't know what's the right way to pronounce this, but whatever works for people, I don't really care. But yeah, Nick Pagliacci, just did Extra Souls with Mimi Yori. I was supposed to. So I mentioned this last episode, but my little cartoonist club in my city that I'm a part of, that I'm a member of, we got a booth at our local Pride event, and we were saying that like, yo, if anyone got any gay comics, you better finish that shit now. So we can sell at the booth, right?
You are not allowed after this month.
Right. Our city is our city is kind of funny because our Pride Fest is actually next month and it's not this month, which is interesting. Although I'm pretty sure like the Pride Festival in our city is like older than the actual idea of a Pride Month. Pride Month is kind of more of a recent invention, really.
It feels like it.
Yeah, because I don't.
I started
remember,
hearing about it, and it's like, oh, I don't
started
remember
hearing
hearing
about it
about that.
back in high school. I think was when I first started hearing about Pride Month. But
Yeah.
anyway, the gay parade, the Pride Parade has been around ever since I was a kid. So that being said, we got a booth, and I'm like, well, I technically have a gay comic, which at one point was My Alien Girlfriend, but I put that on pause because I was kind of like, I kind of just want to do other things right now. Although so my plan was with My Alien Girlfriend and with this whole Pride event was that I could probably put all those comics into a book and sell it, but my computer crashed back in August.
Oh no!
No.
Yep, and it kind of erased those first couple of like original files of My Alien Girlfriend of the beginning comics. So that's kind of like lost now, and so but I'm thinking that maybe I could just kind of just redraw those comics or like basically just kind of I guess reboot it a little bit, not too much of it, but just like enough of the beginning to fit a book, and I outlined that all out, so that's all ready to go. But out of a whim recently, I thought to myself I should try out new pens for Clip Studio Paint, so I downloaded a random free pen, and I just been falling in love with it because I just been it's really been fueling me to draw more, and I've been drawing nothing but fucking Bongo and Luna related like porn art.
Yeah,
it
gets.
I've seen that.
You're treating Bongo and Luna like the author of Bastard treats that series. You're like,
yeah,
you've like given up on the main series, but you just draw like canon porn sequels.
I mean,
yeah.
that's the dream. Like, that's my
it's,
goal.
It's not. They're not canon, or it doesn't matter.
They should. They
care.
fucking should be.
It's loose. I did tell I should make I think Patreon took away its goals that you put up. I should have had one of my goals being if I got $1,000 a month, I just make Bongo and Luna a canon couple. Just say fuck it.
They don't have to be a couple to fuck vivaciously.
Yeah, true. Exactly.
I just use that
But,
word
yeah,
without knowing what it means.
it's fine. I don't respect the English language.
Yeah,
but
that's what English deserves.
I just been on a hook. I just been on a kick. I just been on a massive kick, and because it's funny. It's funny how like the classic like fucking amateur artist thing that everyone's like annoyed to hear, like, oh, what kind of pens do you use? And people are like, oh, it doesn't matter what pens you use. But like, no, it kind of does a little bit. It does kind of matter because
it matters, but it's extremely relative.
Cause well, here's the thing, because sometimes your problem could be a lot of things. Like if you're like, for example, I feel like I'm good at like a bunch of other things, but I've never experimented much with different pens. I kind of just use the default one for every like art program. It was only till like just a couple weeks ago that I was like, well, I'll download one of these free pens, and I tried it, and I'm like, whoa, this looks 10 times better. What the fuck? And it's like I've used this analogy before with like drawing tablets, but it's kind of like, imagine being a fish that was born in dirty water, and this is kind of all you know. And so once you like go into like clean water, you're kind of like, oh wow, you realize how like awful it was before, right? Like, oh, because I'm looking at the old art that I did with just the default pen, and I'm like, oh, all this could look 10 times better.
Man,
I was using different kinds of pens.
I need to get back to digital art sometime. I don't think I ever want to make it my main thing, because like I do like all of my art traditionally, and like just
I dig that,
and just scan it and do digital editing to like add color after the fact. For like Woke Up as a Girl.
I'll say this: Villainverse might be the last comic I do traditionally, to be honest, because it's kind of a hassle in a lot of regards. I mean, I'm not gonna stop. I don't think I'm gonna stop doing traditional, but I noticed like I've been more interested in trying to get comics out faster, and I was gonna originally do make Pygology traditional, but then I was like, if I just do it digital, I could like churn it out a lot faster, and it worked out for that, you know. But yeah, Villainverse might be the last one I do traditionally. I might come back to it. Depends on like what I feel like, you know. But I never want to lose the what's it called, the
texture,
kind of mind,
the grain,
the fucking, you know, the whole process of doing traditional art. I never want to like lose that, because it feels a little bit more as we get closer and closer to like AI art.
Yeah,
traditional. It's feeling a little bit more human almost.
I feel comfortable with where I am because I do traditional art, but with like I can fix this in post in mind. So I'll like draw a fucked up face on a character, and I'll be like, I don't like that. And then in a white space next to it, I'll just draw a replacement face and a little note off to the side, like saying replace or whatever.
Yeah, I did stuff like that too.
I do a lot of like digital art, but I also do a lot of traditional art, like in my own time. I like to make a lot of like handmade textures with like crayons or alcohol inks or watercolors or like pastels, and like scan them in to add texture to my digital stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good thing that you can do. Like you can add so many different like overlays or multiply layers or like whatever.
Yeah, whenever I do digital art, be it like a friend of mine comes over every now and then, and like he lets me use his Procreate on his iPad or whatever, and that's like the only digital art I've done in years. It just ends up looking like traditional art every time, because that's just how I draw. I don't know. I like having pages of comic manuscripts in my drawers. I have all the originals that'll be worth billions in years.
I gotcha. I have my own kind of like Old Testament, like original kind of like basically transparent paper that I used originally to draw Bongo and Luna. As like old ancient Dead Sea Scrolls for clown porn.
That should be the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah, exactly. They'll find it in years. They'll be like, "Oh, these were the two great prophets of the 21st century."
This is what human society was like 10,000 years ago.
These were their goddesses. It was the goddess of life, Bongo, and the goddess of death, Luna. They signed over humanity.
I'm being reminded by all this grandeur. Before we move too far away from the intro section, which I think we are firmly out of, maybe.
Go ahead.
I'd like to quickly plug Tiercom, because it's not something that has as much of a self-explanatory premise or name. It's the URL is tirkom.thecomicseries.com. It's also on MangaDex. Uh,
Hmm.
it's an action comic, uh, with it does not really have an easily explainable premise. It's just kind of like a bunch of fucked up looking scribble people in like Salvador Dali landscapes.
I just tell people that Carrie Com is a person with green hair that fights the fights.
That's true. Uh, I kind of I really like fighting stories about like battle maniacs who are like in it for the
Hell yeah.
fight in it for the fighting itself.
Hell yeah.
And I conceptualized it and like started making it and stuff when I was in high school, and like incredibly depressed for numerous reasons, one of which was artistic burnout and like not liking how my art was and not enjoying art at all. And I basically was just like, okay, so she's a battle maniac at heart, but she's like fresh out of college and in this battle maniac career path she's chosen, and that she's like, yeah, it'll be fucking awesome, but she's just disillusioned from it. And she just has to be like Squidward next to some battle maniac kids that are as hyped about it as she wishes she was.
Nice.
I like
And
that.
yeah,
It's
it wrapped up the first story arc at chapter 17 like a year ago or something. I'm still going with it. I fully plan on working on this for like 13 more years or something.
damn. That's wild. But no, that's cool though. I like it when there's this when I like it when like when artists do that very incredibly like personalized work, you know, that's like very specific, and the whole idea of like, yeah, this is unmarketable, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really the only kind of thing I could have thought up and been cool with doing in high school, because now I would not like start another thing that I'm like, nobody's gonna fucking read this without me jamming it down their throat. Uh, like, uh, but that's part of why I like about it. I wouldn't change it for anything. It's I really love the idea of long running stories, because like a lot of the time and this is like something that new comic artists run into a lot, that I ran into, where like you make something, and uh you make something and you're like, this is gonna be the new fucking Dragon Ball. This is gonna be a billion
yeah.
chapters, and it's gonna go on forever, and it won't feel like a worthy investment unless it goes on forever. Because if it's short, who the
Sure.
fuck cares? Because that's how I feel. Uh, and that generally that's not good. Like the first few things you should do should be like one shots or short stories or something like that.
Yes.
Or like
yes, especially
or like
experimental one shots. You know, like really
yeah,
trying out different things. If you ever thought in your head like, oh, I want to like you look at a manga and you're like, oh, I want to do like a fight scene that
yeah.
looks like that. Just try it. Just try it now, just to see if you could,
But no,
because you might be closer to it than you think, or you might not be as close. But at least you might have a roadmap of how do you get there. You know.
and if you're like me and like has an issue seeing something that's not like of a decent length as something of a worthy investment, uh, set little goalposts in your head where like this is a short story that's like one or two issues or volumes or chapters or whatever, and it would be its own good self-contained story if it ended here, but leave it open so that you feel like you can continue it. It's like just set little checkpoints for yourself or something like that. But yeah, that is to
Exactly.
say that's the correct way to do it. I did not fucking do that. I started with, this is gonna be fucking grand or whatever, and now
It's gonna
I'm
be my epic. Yeah.
yeah. Now I'm still doing it. I don't know. I want it
But
to I want
that's
it to be like the equivalent of like 10 manga volumes or something. Uh,
well,
I
as
would
long as you have accepted this is it.
yeah, I don't know.
I think it should be okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll make it like Hellsing length. Uh, the this I if I could go back in time and tell depressed 15-year-old me that was reading Hunter x Hunter and wanting to make a bunch of really obviously inspired by it shit to stop, I wouldn't, despite where I am now and looking back on like the early chapters and being like, I could do better, but like that's okay.
No, I gotcha. I yeah, I know the feeling. Although I think I did a pretty good job of not jumping into like making anything that was like a long term epic. Originally, like when I did Bonga Luna, I thought of that as more or less like a writing experiment. Like, oh, here's two characters. How many like scenarios can I come up with just these two
Yeah.
characters? So when it ended, it was like, okay, that's enough for me. But I do notice that I do have a thing where like I just like having two characters being like kind of foils to each other, and like it works kind of better for me. I feel like um I'm very like market poisoned, if you will.
Yeah, no, I've been.
I get that.
I used to not
Yeah.
be, and it's slowly creeping in. Uh,
it
the more I
and,
taste mild success.
right, exactly. Because don't get me wrong. I feel like there's like pros and cons. Like, you don't want to become too marketable because you're almost like you're being soulless about the shit that you make, and you're just interested in like making a buck. Although that's not like the worst thing ever, especially if we're all fucking like struggling artists here, right? Like that's not.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
not
am
what
I
it is.
right or am I right?
Many such cases,
Right.
as they say.
Right, exactly. So making a couple bucks doesn't hurt here and there. But with
Yeah,
that being said,
I do
there's this
Patreon.
kind of like, yeah, exactly. There's this kind of like free and looseness that you got at the start of your kind of career before you understand. When I started your career, but you just start as like just doing art, that you kind of like lose over time. Before you find out about uh evil things like story structure or
Yeah.
likable characters or
No, I
True.
appealing character designs.
I'm very
Yeah.
thankful to my friend Alex that served and continues to serve as an editor for Tiercom, where like
Nice.
I wanted to start Tiercom in a really weird way, where well, not really weird. Basically, I just saw the start of Soul Eater, and I really liked how it like followed individual perspectives of these three character stories for like one episode each, and then oh, they converge, and that's cool. I did that, but like bad at the start, where like I just had a really confusing intro that served as more of a what the fuck is that prologue, and didn't really follow that character's story. So I ended up trimming it down to just be more of just a general story prologue. And then the next character it cut to, it was like barely the start of a story, and then really only the third one that got like a self-contained nice little story like that. And that was because chapters 5 and 6 of the comic, which originally were gonna come out after chapter 3. There was not gonna be a chapter 4. Because do you remember the Tezuka one-shot manga contest thing
Yeah, I do remember that.
when they did the international one?
Yeah, a
few
lot of
years
my
ago?
enemies, sent in their submission.
Yeah,
It's okay. All theirs suck. They were not good.
one thing I loved the fucking most of all like this is the thing I love the most in art is when I see an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. I invented a character and a new part of the setting that has remained in Tiercom's story and is now like at the focal like point of it at the part of the story that is ongoing for this one shot, because I really wanted to do a submission one shot, but I also really wanted to work on Tiercom, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll let this irrevocably change the course of this webcomic I've chained myself to for years, just so I can like meet a deadline for a contest I want to be a part of. So that's chapters 5 and 6 of Tiercom.
I remember when they don't do the contest internationally every year, right?
Yeah, it was a special thing. That's the first time, and as far as I know, that's the last time.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. I was tempted to like maybe I could remake the prologue and chapter 1 of Villainverse to be kind of like a complete.
Yeah,
story.
no, that's awesome. Yeah,
That was gonna be
That
my
would be
plan.
cool.
if
But at the time, I was like, nah, I should just, fuck it. I should just focus on the story I already got. I don't need to do that. And I think I made the right call because I saw the winners and I saw who were at the top, and I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm not even at this level.
Oh yeah, no, some of
Oh,
those were insane.
yeah, the winner was like crazy. Like I don't even think the winner was in English either. I
I mean,
because
it's
I could not read
international,
it.
so
Yeah, it was. But at least I had the benefit of knowing that because there's a couple artists out there that I don't like. I consider them the enemies to Cheesymanfredo. I'm not gonna say their names, but they submitted some of their work, and I looked at it and I'm like, oh good, it sucks. It's not good. And I'm not even saying that because I already dislike them, but I'm saying because they legitimately weren't like good stories, and it's so funny because these are the same kinds of people who like talk about how much better manga and anime is doing with their storytelling compared to like Western media, and it's like sure, like I love One Piece, I love Hunter x Hunter, I love all that stuff. All that stuff is great. But I mean, if you're gonna like brag about how awesome all that stuff is, you should at least learn some of the actual like story related things that make that stuff good. It seems
yeah,
like they seem like they're not absorbing that. You're not absorbing the good qualities, and that's why your shit sucks.
I,
Not you guys. I'm talking about these people I will not name. You guys are
I don't have
qualified. Your
Yeah.
stuff is
context
good.
for the I don't have the context that you do for the situation. But one thing that very much annoys me is when people see people talking about like writing rules and like what makes things good, and
Yeah.
they get attached to like the concept of those rules existing rather than like why those
Mm-hmm.
rules came into being. Oh, like the hero's journey is a thing that
Yeah,
reoccurs.
exactly. Yes,
The
yes.
hero's
Oh
journey
I
is a
man,
hate
thing
the
that
hero's journey.
reoccurs because
I
it's
fucking hate
like
the hero's journey too.
yeah, no, but like the hero's journey exists because it just like people noticed that there were these reoccurring patterns in stories
Mm-hmm.
and were like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that I guess this is like a thing like a kind of thing that people find satisfying as a story, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
okay, cool, that's a cool thing to note down.
So I read your manuscript and I noticed that there's no meeting with the goddess.
Yeah.
This story sucks.
There's no
Do it over again.
denial of the call to action at the start. Interesting. I feel like the hero's journey is just it feels too kind of like you're looking at it at storytelling kind of like it's math almost
Yeah.
or something or like I'll be honest, like
I
I feel like it's mostly people who aren't super creative who are like touting stuff like that out.
I get incredibly sus when someone complains about the pacing in something. I don't know why. I get
Mm,
it's pacing is like the buzzword that I look at.
I
Uh,
I hate the word like objective when it comes to like
yeah,
when
no,
we're
there's no
talking about
objective in
art.
art.
Yeah, exactly.
The like I I don't know. Like whenever I see somebody complain about like Chimera Antarc's pacing or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking
People complain about my pacing too, at least in the beginning.
or
Yeah, I mean, like
people.
it's not like there's no valid complaints related to pacing. It's just
Mhm.
like it happens so much that like I immediately put my guard up whenever I hear somebody saying shit about it.
I mostly ignore
Exactly.
pacing. The only pacing metric that I adhere to are if it reads like a Shane Black script or if it doesn't.
Which is the good one?
That's the fun part. There's no
It
good one unless
depends
you're a
on the
Shane Black
person.
fan.
But what was I gonna say? Actually, you know what? No, I take it back. You can complain about pacing. It's totally fine. No, fuck. Because I remember there's some. I remember there was a handful of movies I saw recently where like I think a major problem they had was that it wasn't it wasn't that the pacing was off, but it's more like it had all the right story beats, but it felt like they were kind of out of order almost. Like maybe they should have rearranged them a little bit more. You know, um, I think pacing's okay if you're trying to like tell if obviously if you're telling a short story but it feels super fucking long, unless like that's on purpose, you know, then it's fine. Here's the thing: when the more media and more kind of art you consume, the more you realize how much the rules don't fucking matter. I feel like people who say who talk about rules is because they've only consumed very like basic mainstream stuff. Once you go outside of like your bubble, you start reading stuff from
Yeah.
other countries, or just start reading like, or you just get really into like outsider art. you'll see like how much it doesn't fucking matter, you know. And yeah, yeah, we're gonna say.
No, it was off topic. Keep going.
Yeah, like there's this one movie reviewer on YouTube who I don't like, and he was like, someone asked him about like why do you do movie reviews, and he said like, oh, I do movie reviews because it's like the one kind of art form where there is kind of like an objective quality you have to reach, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Oh my god.
And he was referring to like, oh, you know, because you gotta make sure your camera quality is good, your audio quality is good. It's like, how the fuck do you like? But here's the thing: you never know if you like go into a movie and you don't know if like the quote unquote bad audio or bad camera quality was not on purpose. You know, like
Yeah.
you don't know. I mean, unless they explicitly say, but at the same time, it's not even like I don't know. There's this kind of mentality I had recently about like not looking at quote unquote movie mistakes as mistakes, but more like I think movies and just any art becomes 10 times more interesting if you consider all the mistakes were done on purpose. I think that is like way more interesting than like complain about plot holes. I think plot holes become way more interesting if you think about like, okay, but what if let's say they add that on purpose? Now what? You know, like what does that say? I think that's a much more kind of just a more interesting way to like talk about stuff.
I
It's
kind of
kind of
realized
like-
that when I was watching Twin Peaks: The Return, because that show is very weird. There's a lot of stuff
Is that the
that
official
happens.
subtitle of like season 3 or whatever?
Yeah. Like, so many fucked up stuff happens, like, just outside of the context of the story. Like, long pauses, cuts that, like, are abrupt, turns of phrase that just, like, oh, did someone, like, lose half the script? But if you're a big David Lynch fan, you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh boy, what wacky stuff is David Lynch going to do? And when you get to, like, the long cuts or, like, the weird, like, pauses, if you're like me, you're laughing because you're thinking, oh man, he did this on purpose. I wonder why. And it, like Cheesy was saying, it is more interesting if you give every creator that...
The benefit of the doubt?
what would it be? Yeah. Because it allows you to have more fun with the work, as well as like have those thoughts, like, why is this happening? What does this mean for the story? Stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's 10 times more interesting than like I think one of the classic kind of like plot holes that were like I guess retcon in its franchise was the whole like why did they put a giant hole in the Death Star that makes it blow up once you hit it? Isn't
Yeah.
that
They
like
needed
fall
to.
Because it needed proper air conditioning, asshole.
Sure, but it's all sci-fi, right? So the logic and physics of it doesn't matter. That being said, I like to think of it like, well, maybe they're trying to say something about fascism, that actually it can be, they might seem like this giant superstructure that's the ultimate weapon, but actually can easily be taken down if you like, are true to yourself and like pinpoint exactly what the problem is. You could actually take down these massive structures because they're a lot more fragile than they seem, right? And that's like, oh, that's like a commentary on the Empire, on what they're trying to say, right? And then like what 9 movies later, it's like, oh well, actually there's a giant hole there because the guy who designed it put that on purpose because it was part of a rebel plot. And it's like, oh my god, shut the fuck up, please. You don't have to do this. You don't have to fucking like go back and explain something, retroactively. Like it's just so like, can you not just be confident in the work itself? It's very just frustrating that they actually fucking did that. I don't care if people say that movie is actually decent. I don't give a fuck. They all suck. You know what I'm saying?
Why is his name Han Solo? I need to know.
Why? Because he was by himself when he registered his name. You're by yourself, so your name is Solo. Oh, you're by yourself. Your name is Lonely Guy now, because you have no one.
I have not seen Solo.
Yeah, were you gonna say Holly? Me neither.
I have not seen Solo, but I call myself a Star Wars fan. I enjoy that franchise on the whole.
I'm a star whore for Star Wars, if you will. Yeah, Star Wars is fine. but I've been read Villainverse. It's like Star Wars but better. This this
It's
is
like
my
I
plug for
read
it.
Villainverse.
I think it's like
Super
superheroes
Jail.
but better.
It,
Yeah, it's like Super Jail.
it is a lot like it's directly a lot of just super Joe energy, just lifted. I reread it from time to time and I think like maybe I could have gone more crazier with the violence.
I mean, like when I first read it, I DM'd you like, so Super Jail, right? And you were like,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually very happy people are be able to pinpoint that.
That
Like, yeah,
that
there's
was
a
a
lot
very
of
formative
Super Joe.
series for me. I love
Oh
Super
yeah,
Jail.
I love Christy Caracas.
Indeed.
I kind of ashamed about the Ball Masters special.
Oh god.
Because the whole art style changed. Because like I get why they did that, but at the same time, I feel like it lost a little bit of its like identity by doing that, and the special wasn't the best ever, so it doesn't seem like they're gonna get that next season, which is a shame. Um, but life keeps moving on. Something I wanted to mention real quick about traditional art. I was holding on to this thought was that one thing I do like about traditional art and why I don't want to like lose my whole traditional art side is because with traditional art there's a lot more kind of like commitment to like everything you do. You have way more commitment. Because in digital art, you fuck up a line, you're like, oh, Control Z, fuck up line, Control Z, fuck up line, Control Z. Just keep doing that over and over again. But with traditional arts, like, I fucked up a line. Well, guess what? You're married to that line now, motherfucker.
Yeah,
You
no,
can't just-
I do it wrong, and then I have to like reorganize the rest of the composition to fit around it.
my mentality is that like let's say I'm working on a page traditionally, if I fuck up once on that page, I'm like, all right, just don't do that again, and then I just keep on going. If I do too many fuck ups on one page, then I'll restart the whole page. But just one or two fuck ups, even three fuck ups, I'm fine. I just keep on going. It's more important that it's out than it's perfect.
I do not envy being you or any other person that has like line work that can even relatively be called clean. Because my sketchy style allows for so much leeway, man. I get away with
True.
so much shit. I like I did an accidental scribble here. Let me make the line work thicker on this side of the character just to fill in that whole
I do that
area.
a lot too.
No,
But I get called out for it. It's a shame.
I think I'm gonna say this. I think it's a lot more charming in with traditional art than with digital. But I'll say this: it's like I think like those moments of like those little mistakes in art. That's what kind of makes art a little bit human. It's like you captured a human moment. You fucked up, and that's like great. Like we know that you're like a person with a beating heart. Aside from like this is just going back to AI art for a second, where like everything is like done on purpose because you just typed it in. There was no like real like sure the AI could like do a mistake, but it's not like it's not charming. Really.
It's not a real mistake.
I mean, if it's super funny, it's like if it's charming in like a meme kind of way, but like you can't just make art with a bunch of memes. Maybe you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's really funny because Catgirl is based off of a meme.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's fine.
Hey, I mean that's not entirely memes though. That's
It's not entirely memes. It's just kind of like that like old 4chan meme of like government.
government
mandated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was inspired by a meme, but the real bread and butter is just your like amazing writing is like the
Thank
real
you.
fucking like that's what keeps it going. Anyone could like make a like fuck. You see Merryweather, all of his comics are based off of memes. And
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's
I do
supposed
not.
to be
I
like
do
the
not
most.
fuck with those comics.
I do not like
No.
Merryweather either.
I
He's like the
I don't fuck with Merryweather because he was an asshole to a friend of mine on Twitter once.
oh wow, yeah, he's kind of and he also like some of his like mutuals are not good people, are just kind of just some atrocious ass people. I know a couple like last year I saw him do a collab with like this right winger. It's like a comic skater artist, and it's like wow, really, like you really gonna It really is like the worst person you know teams up with the most mid person you know. It's
Mm-hmm.
the collab of the century basically. But yeah, I don't fuck with Merryweather. I'm very public about that. Um, that being said, I kind of want to change the topic because something that's been
Yeah,
kind of on my yeah.
negativity is not. It does even if you have conviction in it, it doesn't always feel good. It's like, why focus on this?
I'm fine with like being a huge hater. I'll say that. I hate. I'm a, I could hate.
I'm kind
I'm
of
the
the
opposite.
opposite.
I regret every
I
time
like too
I'm a
many
hater.
things.
I like things, but sometimes it is good to be a little hater. Sometimes I admit, I get caught up in mob mentality. I get caught up in that because it feels good. It feels good to be part of something bigger than yourself, even if we're all wrong or right. I don't know. I just want to be part of something. What was I gonna say? So recently, there's been this kind of I don't even want to call it controversy because I think it's validating a lot of like terrible people's opinions. But Disney released dropped like the opening intro for a show, and for a new show called
Oh
Primos.
yeah, that's been everything.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And I remember I when I woke up, like I think like maybe 2 or 3 days ago when it dropped, I woke up, I saw a lot of people getting mad at the opening, and I couldn't really like watch it because I was half asleep, and I'll be like, oh, I'll watch this later, see if people get what's it about, and then later I see they took it down from all the like backlash, and then I looked it up on YouTube, or actually no, I didn't look it up on YouTube either because I was like, oh wow, I guess they took it down, and then Pan Pizza was DMing me about it and asking me like what was my opinion on it, and I'm like, okay, well I guess I gotta watch it now. So I watched the opening and I'm like, what's wrong with this? Like, I didn't really think there was anything wrong with it. And it seems like everyone was mad because this gave like a bad this makes like Mexicans look bad, apparently, right? Um, because it and the show is called Primos, and in the opening theme song, she says the line "Oye Primos," which is apparently not grammatically correct, but it's grammatically incorrect in specific countries, right? Because Spanish is spoken slightly different in every like country that where there's Spanish speakers. Spanish is spoken like slightly different. They even use like different words for like different things, and that's something I kind of noticed being like on because I get a lot of like TikToks from like people from like Spanish speaking countries, from Latin American countries, and I noticed that they'll say words differently. They'll have different words. Might be a word might be considered a bad thing in a different like country. They have just different things, and so the whole that she says "Oye primos," it comes off grammatically correct if you're like Mexican American, like if you're a child of like Mexican immigrants or just a child of like immigrants from any Latin American country, so saying something like "Oye primo" sounds fine, right? Because our Spanish isn't that perfect compared to like the other Spanish speaking countries. But that's just how language kind of develops. That just kind of happened, and people were getting the impression that this makes Latin American people like look bad. And there's a bunch of other really stupid ass reasons. Like people are all like, "Oh, it's got that classic yellow Mexican sky," and I'm like, "Well, first of all, it's not Mexico; it's L.A. and the sky is pretty fucking yellow in L.A.
Yeah, true.
because
LA
it's
is kind of a toxic area.
yeah, exactly." And people were saying that like, "Oh, the city they live in is called Terremoto Heights, which just translates to earthquake heights." And they're like, "Oh, well, that's fucked up to Mexicans because they have they had like a series of really awful earthquakes that killed a shitload of people." Um,
I
and it's
think it's
kind of
just like unfortunate timing.
I think also I don't even think the name is that bad because it doesn't take place in Mexico. It takes place in like
Yeah.
Southern
And
California, and there's earthquakes in California
California has
too.
earthquakes too. What the fuck?
It doesn't matter. And people were saying like, oh, it's like naming a town 9/11ville, and it's like, no, it's fucking not because it's not making reference to a specific like tragedy. Earthquakes
Okay,
just
but
happen, right? It's more like if you want to make a more I guess valid comparison, it's like calling a city plane crashville, but even that's not even that awful, really. And there's just a whole laundry list of just like, and I'll say this is people just parroting things they hear. They're just parroting it. Like they're being a bunch of fucking parrots about it.
True.
And just repeating these points. They're not even thinking. Like they're not thinking. Like people, legitimately, a lot of people still think the show take place in Mexico when it's not. It's not fucking Mexico. The Hollywood sign is in the opening of the show because it doesn't take place in Mexico. It takes place somewhere in LA, somewhere in like Southern California, right? And people are sharing this one comic that I see it fucking everywhere. That's drawn by this one like Mexican Nazi. And it's
that one's horrible. That one, even the people that are shitting on the show and think the show is like a problem or whatever are like making fun of that comic. I will tell you that.
Yeah, exactly, and the comics is really fucking atrocious, because I think one kind of really like awful thing about it is because it's got like anti-Semitism in it on the left, and on the right it has like this one guy who's supposed to be like Jorge Gutierrez, but they whitewashed him, which is like, why did you make him white? Like, what the fuck are you trying to say? Because that guy's a big old brown guy. He's not fucking white. It's just so stupid.
Apparently it's like promotion for their comic.
Yeah, it is, and I hear that guy gets shit on also in like Spanish speaking spaces too, because apparently people got that one character from the one that's on the right, and they make like gay porn of that character because he doesn't like that. To just kind of like shit on him. I'm looking for the comic right now. I quote tweeted it like yesterday.
When you first brought this up and started like talking about why people were overblowing it, my first response was to parrot negative shit that I had heard about it. But as you went on, it's like, well, fuck. I mean, like, I haven't researched. I haven't done any of this. I'm not even saying you're right, because I have a friend. I have a Mexican friend of mine that is like, nah, I was giving this the benefit of the doubt. This is actually pretty bad.
I think also I swear there was this one NSFW artist I saw reshare this comic, and then someone said like, damn, this show does look a lot like Victor and Valentino, and the guy who shared the comic originally was like, what's Victor and Valentino? And it's like, you fucking idiot, you don't even know what this you're saying this you're using this comic to compare it to other shows, and because if you know anything, you would know that the comic, the panel on the left is supposed to be a parody of the show Victor and Valentino.
Yeah.
But this guy doesn't even know that fucking show exists, so what the fuck are you... Why are you even sharing this shit, you fucking idiot? God damn. It is just parodying. It's like just almost like NPC thought of just like, I'm just repeating it. And also, I'll say this, because I even noticed this. There's like a subsection of like Latin American people, not like a lot of like white people who are also just parodying it too, because they're seeing that these people from like Latin American countries are getting offended by this, and they're all like, well, I don't know what the problem is because I'm not Latin American, so I'm just gonna agree with them. I'm just gonna assume that it is offensive. And it's like, no, you could like take a couple like minutes to fucking think about it and see that they are fucking wrong about this. It's and yesterday I think a couple of you guys saw, I posted a whole thread because this whole like backlash, it kind of made me reevaluate like a major part of like my identity, because I'm a child
I saw
of
you post about this.
Yeah, that whole thread was something that was kind of stewing in my head during like this whole controversy, and also like I think a big like kind of thing that made me realize that the show is not atrocious is Pan Pizza dropped a video recently about it that was really good. I recommend everyone watch the Pan Pizza video. It's a really good video on this whole... It's not even a fucking controversy to me. It shouldn't be a fucking controversy, right?
Yeah.
Because I think what the major problem is that the show Primos is obviously supposed to be someone recounting their experience as a child of Mexican immigrants, and it's a very specific type of person that this show is based on, right? Now, to someone like, let's say from Mexico, who doesn't know what the experience is like of being a Mexican American, they could see a show like this and they see that people are speaking Spanish wrong and assume this is like making fun of Mexicans, when not realizing like, no, this is like someone's specific experience of being Mexican descent but not exactly born in Mexico, you know. And it made me think back about like how much like the Mexican American experience is like always being invalidated by everybody, you know. And mostly like
Mhm.
older like people from Mexico who are like part of like my family or part of like anyone's family that always kind of like looks down on you, or makes you like makes you think that the experience my experience is flawed, that I'm experienced like a bastardization of something, you know. That like what was supposed to happen was that I was supposed to be born in Mexico. I was supposed to be surrounded by Spanish speakers. I was supposed to have perfect ass Spanish and everything, but that didn't happen. And now I'm living this weird ass like almost like weird mimic of what was supposed to happen, right? And because it's not like the right way, I wasn't raised the right way. I didn't grow up in the environment I was supposed to. My experience is invalid, so I shouldn't be sharing my story because I'm like considered an imperfect Mexican, you know. But I this whole thing has made me realize like people just really hate when Mexican Americans share their experiences, because it's not like one for one what people in Mexico are experienced, which it almost becomes, it's a weird kind of like Mexican elitism almost, you know. Like this is the only kind of story that could be told about like Mexicans because it's like one for one like what's happening over there, yada yada. But like it, and you know we're not like, you know, allowed to tell our fucking story, and it's a fucking shame. There's like I made a whole like Twitter thread. I don't want to just repeat word for word
Yeah,
what I said in the
go
thread.
on Cheesy's Twitter.
Yeah, go. I made a thread about it. I'm probably gonna retweet it right now as we're recording it. But it's
It's a
very
good thread.
yeah, yeah. It made me really, and also I feel like growing up I kind of internalized a lot of that because for the longest time, and this is something I realized, and now I know why. I wasn't interested in telling stories about like Mexicans. You know, I wasn't interested in having like main characters that were Mexican. You know, and and it's very like I always thought that was kind of weird. You know, like why am I not that interested in doing this? Why aren't my characters this like aren't they Mexican? Like what's wrong with me? Am I like fucking up? But I didn't realize that all these years of being reminded about like how much of an imperfect Mexican I am has like been internalized. It made me be like, oh, I can't write stories about Mexican because I'm not really Mexican. You know, I'm constantly reminded how not Mexican I am. You know, and it's fucked. You know, it's fucked that that's kind of how it cropped up in my mind. You know, and it's just yeah, it made me really like really just think about what the fuck is going on, like why everyone's so fucking upset. It's shit, and to be honest, I think there's a giant massive narrative like being like concocted by Latin American, like right leaning Latin American people specifically, like really like transphobic, anti-Semitic people from Latin America who just want you to think that the mainstream view of people from these countries that yes, we're transphobic, yes, we're anti-Semitic, and we don't like this. And it's like that's not true. That actually I think that's kind of racist to try to like make this mainline view be that like there's no such thing as progressive people in Latin America. I mean, there's lots of progressive people in Latin America. I'm friends with a lot of them, right? And yeah, it's really just really something that's been on the top of my fucking mind about this whole situation. You know, I don't know if you
Your
guys have.
dog is really sad about Primus.
I can kind of
Yeah, it is.
relate. Like, one of my favorite jokes is that I'm the least black person in my family. Even amongst my siblings who are lighter skinned than I am, they're blacker than me.
What's something I heard other people say? It's like, oh yeah, too white for Mexicans, too Mexican for whites. You know, so you're like caught up in this in between zone. It's almost like it's almost what like mixed kids get too, where it's like they get that mixed race anxiety. I have this like weird like um I don't know the fucking the white American anxiety kind of shit. You know, it's just annoying. It's just very like frustrating to see that like here's someone who here's someone who like you know grew up almost the same experience I did, and they're telling their story about it. You know, Sure. Is it similar to that other Nickelodeon show? Yeah, sure. But like, there's some truth to, like, yeah, Mexicans have big families. There's some truth to that. That tends to happen with immigrants. They get big families when they all like immigrate somewhere. It
I
So
know that
it's
this
like
isn't
there's
like the
enough.
same thing. Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, there's enough room in this world for there to be like two shows where this happens. Like, people don't be like, "Oh wow, another show about a white kid who lives in suburbia." Like, no one fucking throws a
Yeah,
shit
no one
fit
said
about
that for
that.
the billions of years where that was the only thing that existed.
Right, exactly, and also people saying that the whole thing is grammatically incorrect. Like, cartoons are grammatically incorrect all the fucking time. Sometimes, like, on purpose for marketing reasons. Do you think you spell extreme with an X at the beginning? No, it's with a fucking E. But you put the X because it's kind of a marketing thing of making it seem kind of edgy and cool that you write it wrong, right?
I was gonna say that like this isn't the same thing by any means because I obviously have like a very different and like
Mm-hmm.
way more privileged upbringing, like based on the fact that like I am a white person, but I grew up very poor and like my family is all white trash. Um, and like one of the things that I notice about interacting with like other white people is that there's a hierarchy, like
Mm-hmm.
even there. And so like people would like make fun of me for things that I wore or ate or things like different like visual things that I liked and like
Mm-hmm.
it just seemed like there was no way that I could win and that kind of got reinforced when for those of you who don't know, I had like a brief period of time where I was a substitute teacher at like a private school. I'm not gonna name the private school because I don't want to like
Yeah, you don't gotta
yeah,
do that. Yeah.
No, dox
but
yourself.
yeah, but like as it's a very like rich private school with some of the elites
Mm-hmm.
um, of where I live, and so I was interacting with them all the time, and it was made very clear to me that like parents liked me but in a very like servant role and even the other teachers like would make it kind of like known that like they liked me enough but not enough to like give me an actual job there or not enough to like treat me as well as their other colleagues
Mm-hmm.
like and I was trying to dress as professional as I could afford. I was trying to act as professional as I could act. I did a lot of language policing of myself and everything like that. And I still just didn't fit in,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it made me really sad because I just wanted to have like a local community that I
Mm-hmm.
could feel good about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
No.
it seems at first, especially in religious communities, that they're very like accepting and loving, and then they just aren't.
No. I get what you mean. It's just so. It's just so kind of annoying. And you know what? Another thing too is that I feel like a lot of people who do reinforce like these like hierarchies, or they reinforce these like kind of like imaginary models of what you should be like, also don't fit that mold too. But like,
Yeah,
instead of like the kind of constructing that like that thing they internalize. Instead, they think by reinforcing it, they become a part of it, so they don't want to stand out. And that's the thing. No one wants to stand out. No one asks to get stand out, right? And
yeah,
it's very like, I didn't ask to be like born here or brought into this country, but it happens, and there's nothing I can do about it. And just here's my lived experience. I don't need I don't need every Latin American person to like the show Primos. I'm not gonna watch it because
Yeah, this is some
I just
shit. This is some shit that would fade in and out of existence without me thinking about it more than like 12 times.
I don't yeah and I think it's kind of weird to get mad about a kid show. Like, I think that's so fucking weird.
it's
I
really like
It's the weirdest shit you could
childish.
do. It is
It's so
childish.
childish.
Like, I get it if a kid show like it does something that's obviously offensive, but this isn't like an obviously offensive show. It's about, oh, a kid a Mexican American kid grows up in South California. That's what's offensive about that. This seems pretty accurate. Like, oh, her Spanish is not that good. Like, yeah, that's so fucking relatable. My Spanish isn't that fucking good either. You know, oh man, it's yeah, but like
It just kind of seems like they're just getting mad that things aren't catering to them and their particular experiences.
like I remember someone commented on my thread saying that like it seems like just Latin American people like because like I bet there isn't too much media that's like made in like in LA or Hollywood that's catered to them. It does seem like the majority of like when they tell a story about someone from Latin America, it's mostly Mexicans. And sure, I get that, but I mean, there's a multitude of fucking reasons why that happens. First of all, you're most likely to get Mexican immigrants in Southern California because Mexico's right there, you know. Um,
Hmm.
or and it's yeah. I mean, that's one of the fucking reasons.
It just
Um,
seems like for American media, it seems more like common to have like a Mexican American influence because it's literally right there.
Yeah, it's literally right the fuck there. Yeah, so I'm not surprised. I mean, it sucks that like it's like maybe your country doesn't deliver back on like material that like appeals to you. It's and what exactly is going on in your country. I personally, I really don't know how do you fix that. I have no idea. But like the thing is that Primos is not going to affect you negatively. It's not going to fucking hurt you, right? And I think also this is just a whole like extension of the whole CalArts hate movement too, which is like
Yeah.
beyond fucking stupid. And if you think like legitimate, if you think that like the CalArts style is something atrocious, like really fucking grow the fuck up. It's such the biggest first world problem shit I ever fucking heard. Wow, cartoons have a bean mouth, dude. That we
I think bean mouths
our
are
tax
cute.
dollars go to blow up kids in Yemen, dude. Like, let's. Why are you worried about the bean mouths? But yeah, what were you gonna say, Holly?
I was just saying that I think bean mouths are cute. I like bean mouths.
Yeah, it's there's nothing fucking wrong with like bean mouths. It's whatever. Oh wow, all these cartoons kind of look the same, bro. Like I don't know. Blame capitalism, dude. Blame markets. There's a bunch of other things to blame than like fucking a Mexican American is trying to tell his fucking story. Here's this thing, and this is something I like. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when it comes to kind of like uh virtue signaling, right? Like, okay, so corporations by default are just always virtue signaling because they're just in an effort to make money. So nothing they like do is
Yeah.
because they wholly believe in it. It's because they virtue signal. They're virtue signaling, right? Here's the thing, though. But here's where it gets a little bit more nuance. The people they hire aren't virtue signaling. You think like the guy who directed Black Panther, like, oh, he was virtue signaling to black people? No, he was just making the movie that he wanted
Yeah,
to make,
they
and he
hire
was black.
they
Yeah.
hire somebody who cares to care for them, but that doesn't mean the person that they hired doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly. And they might have prioritized having a black director, but there's nothing
It
like fucking wrong with
it's
that. God,
Primos
yeah.
is probably gonna become fucking lost media or something.
I
Like,
I Primos is we're probably gonna forget about it.
oh yeah,
I mean,
we're gonna
what's so
forget about it. It's gonna get a delayed release. It's never gonna get a season 2. What the episodes that were produced are gonna
I
get shadow dropped on streaming in like 5 years.
that could happen, or like, here's the thing, because like I also have like a day job where I talk to like non-internet poison people, and they don't fucking know anything about this, right? Their kids are gonna watch this show and they're gonna have no idea that there's fucking Nazis in Latin America who like hate this show. They're not gonna be fucking aware about this, and the kids watching it aren't gonna be aware about it either. You know, it's so
Hot tip for the Disney executives: they should have a Primos Big City Greens crossover.
yeah,
That'll
just do
smooth
it.
everything over, guaranteed.
Just fucking do that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter ultimately. Fuck, I was gonna say something else about Primos. I had another point. Um, yeah, the show is fine. Who cares? Like, why you guys seriously all fucking upset about this? It's insane to me. and it's just a reminder of like how much like like people love invalidating, especially from like a lot of other people from like fucking Latin American countries, a lot of other Mexicans love to invalidate the Mexican American experience, and that's a shame. It sucks for them, but like we're still here. We're gonna keep telling our fucking stories, and it fucking sucks. It sucks. Sorry, shit, dude.
Yeah,
But
man.
I've been.
They really stepped on your heartstrings with this one. I can tell.
Yeah, it's been a while since like I've really like given a shit about.
Yeah, no,
the shit
it
that's
kind of
going on,
surprised. It's kind of surprised me because every other scenario I've seen you like talk about anything, and you haven't been like as impassioned.
Yeah, it's just something that kind of like I've kind of learned something about myself in these past couple of days of like, oh, this is why I'm not interested in like telling stories about Mexicans, is because I internalized a lot of like awful shit, and I need to kind of like remove that. I need to start going through the process of removing that. I should be telling more stories about like Mexicans, Americans, but my experience, and not worry about like what other Mexicans think. Like, dude, fuck them. All I can do is just say what I went through, and like if that doesn't like if that isn't up to their standard of like this model Mexican citizen or whatnot, dude, fuck them. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't care, dude. Fuck Spanish. It's the language of the colonizer. I don't give a fuck. Anyway, yeah, go on. What you're saying?
When it comes to how I deal like portraying my personal experience and things, I'm of two minds with it. Because like I discussed earlier, like how I was not meshing with like the two extremes of it that I saw, with like how how a lot of the time, either like in a lot of Eastern media, it's like these people don't fucking know trans people exist and accidentally end up writing them a lot of the time, or write them like ignorantly, or like a lot of Western media like assumes all these like vocabulary words for it, and like already get all of it, and doesn't approach it from the perspective of somebody like not getting it. So what the Woke Up as a Girl comic is like a thing focused on that, like a thing focused on that subject matter. But with things like Tearcom or just like any other story, I don't think I'm gonna like write a story ever that like doesn't have trans people in it now. Even if it's like not about that, because like Woke Up as a Girl is about that. Tearcom's not about that. Tearcom's about, I don't fucking know what Tearcom's about. But it has like trans people in it, but it hasn't been brought up until like chapter 18. And I'm not saying that's the approach to take or anything. Like, oh, you should only be able to find out that this character is gay by going on the Wikipedia page or whatever. But one thing that I notice when it comes to normalization of things in media, like, you want people to be seen in normal situations and everything, and not segregated off to their own thing. So when it comes to like gay media, or like stuff about minorities, like Primos and stuff like that, like, obviously I can't tell you what the fuck Primos is about, like, on a day-to-day basis or whatever, because I haven't and probably will never watch that show.
Right.
But when it comes to like looking at it and the stories it tries to tell, it probably does. It's just a bunch of daily life shit, and like Mexican stuff comes up as much as it would in a regular person who has these experiences life. But it's a lot of the draw is the fact that it follows these characters like this, and part of me feels like I want to see more media where like it's not like the first thing you look at about Primos is like, okay, this is the show that focuses on like this Mexican family, right? Living this family of first generation immigrants. When I think about like what I would like the ideal to be is I want to see the kind, because like my favorite genre of things is like action manga and shit like that. Like, that's my
Right.
jam. And the Venn diagram of, like, minority group representation and action manga does not often intersect. And when it does, it is often, like, caricaturistic. But, like, something isn't, like, to me at least, like, fully normalized unless it shows up in other shit that isn't chiefly about it. Like,
Right.
stuff like
No, I
Primos
agree.
existing is cool, but I don't know about how
But
you.
you want to see like Mexicans in battle shonen.
Yeah, I want to see. I want to see a Mexican in a fucking battle shonen, and I want.
Yeah,
Uh,
I get what you mean. Yeah, like because growing up,
and that's
like
what Tearcom is. It's trans people in battle shonen. Uh,
no, I get what you mean. I've been that's something I've been kind of thinking about it too. Like even like in stuff like in the last comic that I made with Mimiori in Extra Souls, some of those girls I consider like, oh, some of them are like light skinned Mexican. Like a couple of them are, right? Or and that's just because I just grew up with around a lot of light skinned Mexican people, and that they exist for me, and I guess also I'm not at the moment super interested in making too many like stories with like humans or whatnot, but I do like, I don't know, I want people to like it, I don't know how to say this. If I I'm gonna try to think about how my experience like kind of is put into like my work, and whether or not that means making fucking Mexican Dragon Ball Z one of these days.
Hey, that exists. It's called Dragon Ball Z.
Right, exactly. I'll make it. I'll make it even like if Goku, if he crashed in Mexico, is gonna if his ship landed in Mexico.
Latin America owns that series now, man. I can't look at the video of the crowd cheering for Frieza to beat Jiren and not feel like
No,
that is where the soul of that franchise resides.
No, I get you. And I think there is a lot of like if there's one type of Mexican I think I relate to a lot is probably someone like Guillermo del Toro, who's like directly from Mexico, and he's like, it just seems like he's way more interested in telling stories about little goblins running around than like Mexicans, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of me. I'm a little bit more interested in just little goblins running around,
I grew up with the fucking my first major exposure to like Mexican focused media, because like obviously I knew the existence of Mexico for like
Right.
I can't tell you the part, like this is when I fucking learned what Mexico was, but it's I really loved El Tigre, and I didn't like
Yeah.
I didn't like associate it with like this is Mexican, even though it quite possibly being one of the most aggressively Mexican things ever.
Yeah, Jorge Gutierrez just has his art style is like the most aggressively like
Yeah.
Mexican, and even by that, it's not even. It's also like very particular and weird. Like even for like a Mexican, it might be too out there, but like I think that's what makes his like art amazing.
The formation of Holly Dittus wanting to make creative things was watching reruns of El Tigre and Invader Zim on Nicktoons.
Yeah, exactly. Both
At
both
like
made
age
by
5.
Mexicans.
Yeah, true. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Jorge. I mean,
Yeah,
no,
Jonan Vasquez.
Jonan Vasquez. Yeah. He's Mexican too. Yeah, exactly. We're there, but we're there, and like it's fine. I guess to kind of reiterate, it's fine.
I like Dib just being a really light skinned Mexican, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty great, and it's fine. It's fine. You tell the stories you want to tell, but and there's no problem with that. It's just that when someone out there wants to tell a story about like Mexican Americans or a very specific experience, because like I'm willing to bet there's a shitload of very specific kind of like experiences. If there's one comic that I think is kind of very interesting in talking about a very kind of specific experience about being a child of immigrants, is probably the comic An American Born Chinese, which got turned into I think a series on Disney Plus. I haven't seen the series, I saw the trailer and it looks nothing like the comic.
It looks awful. They should have made a cartoon.
I and the thing is, the
Why
comic.
don't
I
they
think the
make
comic.
cartoons?
Yeah, why don't they make? Why doesn't Disney make cartoons? They should make cartoons.
Oh,
But American Born Chinese is a very particular. It's a very personal story too, and there's one character who's like this very offensive Chinese stereotype, but like they're using that character to say something about the Chinese experience, specifically of being a child of immigrants, right? And and I feel like stories like that should be told. You know, like it's there. We all have these little unique experiences because we don't all line up to like. No one is like this. No one is this like one for one perfect white person or perfect black person or yada yada. Everyone's like a very specific kind of thing, and telling those experiences is fine, and we shouldn't be like offended if like that experience doesn't like line up with this model idea of that type of person, you know. Um, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I get
Yep.
you.
All right. Okay, I think
I make all my stories about being autistic, and I literally never think about it.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, actually.
I think about my autism like a lot. Not only because I have like many complexes about it, like from a young I'm not gonna spend too long on this, but like from a young age, I had like a very real perception of the fact that my brain worked differently than other people's, and I constantly assumed
Yeah.
people were looking down on me, and like I would constantly throw other autistic people under the bus in my brain. Like I'd be like,
Oh,
oh,
wow.
those stupid people, the special kids, I'm not like them. They're stupid. I'm not like them. And I'd constantly like take every opportunity to throw them under the bus to make myself look better and everything. And I didn't realize how fucked up that was until like way later.
I'm not autistic, but that's me every day.
Yeah.
My policy is I don't really like
That was me with other trans people for a while too.
my policy, and I is like I don't write autistic characters. I just wait for the autism council to decide if the character. is
Yeah, that's how it
autistic,
is, because autism isn't like, it's just like a character. It's just a character. It's just a type of personality, really, that naturally occurs. I find it really stupid when people are like if I want to talk about how Jotaro from JoJo Part 3 is autistic, and somebody's like, "Can you tell me where that was confirmed?" It's like, I think it was confirmed when he can't fucking express his emotions as normal people can, and like there's like author's notes and shit about like oh, he just assumes other people understand what his feelings are at any given moment and doesn't really
Yeah.
make any expressions or
Yeah,
or like
and
relate to people in a way or whatever. Like, it's like, oh, so you just described autism. But
Oh man, fuck. You know what? Man, I don't know if I should mention this because it's kind of a little bit off topic. But you bringing up JoJo reminded me of like one of my favorite Araki quotes. Araki's the creator of JoJo, in case anyone doesn't fucking know that. But one of my favorite
context
Araki quotes. One of my favorite quotes that he said, and it's kind of insane that he said this, but he someone asked him like, why didn't you do this? Like, someone asked him like, how come in Part 5 JoJo you didn't make more an explicit reference to like Dio being the father of Giorno? And he's all like, and he said that his kind of like rule for writing is that if it's obvious, if you could kind of like, if it's obvious to do something, it is by default boring. So he never does things that are obvious, which explains everything about JoJo, really.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
and that rule is insane. It's insane to have that rule, because if you had that rule and if you were a shitty writer, you would like fuck yourself over constantly. But the fact that Araki is a guy who can just come up with just the most creative ideas just on the fly like that.
I hate when
means
I hate when people look at the obvious thing that could be done that he very clearly went out of his way not to do, and they're like, it's kind of a mistake actually that he didn't do that. Like when people think that like that was future Josuke, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, no, it's just some guy.
Yeah, it's
like,
some guy, and the point is that it's a fucking story about community and putting trust in people you don't know. Okay.
Also, he had the haircut because it was the style at the time. So
And
there's probably a shitload of people with that haircut.
He intentionally modeled his appearance after that guy who he looked up to.
Right, exactly. Like that's not. Yeah, yeah. It's so shit like
Big
that.
mood.
Back again. I'm not part of the autistic council. It seems I'm too neurotypical. I took one of the tests, but I did coin the phrase evil autism, and that's when you have a hyper fixation for doing evil. And
yeah, I stim with villainy.
Yeah, exactly. What I was about to say is wait, I'll give you 1 second. Is I do consider Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm to be autistic, but he has like evil autism where he just constantly ruins people's days with his autism.
Hey, same here.
Yeah, exactly. What were you gonna say, Holly?
So true.
What Gloomy was saying about how you don't really like think about your autism all that much, or was that Julian? Is my brain going stupid?
I mean, it's not that I don't think about my autism. It's that like when I make stuff that has to do with like autism and coming at it from like the autistic experience, like at least with Catgirl, like there is like one canonically autistic character, which is Peter. He's like the main character, and then like I guess I would say like the deuteragonist of it would be Andy. And Andy, at this point in like the story, there's been a lot of hints about there being like something maybe wrong with Andy, but the term for that in the universe of the story is that she's a defective companion. But like what it actually is in the story is I've been hinting that she's very much autistic coded.
She has Catgirl autism.
Holy yeah, she has Catgirl autism.
God, that's even worse than regular autism.
Oh my god.
I have that.
It's gonna be so much. It's gonna be so much fun with the next comic because it's gonna be from her perspective.
I gotta draw my.
And I'm really excited to do that.
And I told Gloomy I really like. I'm not gonna say what it is because I think the joke is a real 10 out of 10 joke for my Catgirl comic that I was gonna make.
Oh yeah, you're still you could that offer to do a guest comic is still on the table, by the way, Cheesy. If you ever if you ever want to draw really obscene things in my children's comic,
I could. Yeah, I got a couple ideas in my head. I was gonna run them by you. We could talk about that off the pod.
Yeah, God, what was I gonna say? My brain is stupid. Oh yeah.
Okay, what are you gonna say? Go ahead.
I was just saying that I have been like more aware of autism than ever because I've been interacting with more people than ever, and thus have been running into more people who are very clearly not autistic, and get very frustrated with just like how I function. And I've also been reading a lot of stories that have helped me gain greater awareness of it. I don't know if... does anybody here know what my avatar is from on Discord?
Hold up. Let me take a look.
I do not know.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Far away,
isn't that like Medaka box?
Julian's got it.
I can't like see it very well.
Speak louder,
honestly.
Julian.
Oh darn! I thought I was facing the microphone. That's the girl from Medaka box.
Indeed. I've been reading a lot of manga and novels and stuff by Nisio Oisin.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's quite the character.
All great works.
Indeed.
Consistently 10 out of 10.
Genuinely.
Anyone who says otherwise is a liar.
No, it's true. What did autistic women do to that guy? What did, like, genuinely, it's like, okay, Shinjikahara, she doesn't know how to express her from, like, Bakemonogatari. He's the Bakemonogatari guy, by the way.
Yeah.
It's like, she doesn't know how to express her emotions and affection and everything, so she's being aggressive and all this, and It's like, okay, cool. It's like, oh, I'm reading Zaragata. Dude, fucking Kunagisa, completely different type of autistic. Madaka from Madaka Box, just me. I think that's literally the fictional character that I have found that I literally didn't get Kenning until I read Madaka Box and was like, oh shit, this is just a manga about me.
Oh wow.
It's there's a panel set that I always like to post where it's uh like people treat her like she's a special being that has nothing to be taught to her, and as a result she does not know many basic things. Most people would assume that you would get what baseball is by watching someone hit it, but she just doesn't.
Oh, mood.
Yeah,
You know,
it's I don't know, that manga is just about autistic people in battle shonen. That manga's awesome.
nice. You know who
I think
You know who I can?
Who?
who?
Master Shake
Let's fucking go.
That is very real.
from me.
That is very
from
real.
Makati Hungry for It. I told that to Dana Snyder when I met him, and he's all like, "Never talk to me again." No, he didn't tell me that, but he was kind of like, he did like his eyes did get kind of wide, like, like hold up,
You
Don't
kidding
say
me?
You kidding me?
Right, exactly. You kidding me?
I don't like to
You
say some of
can't
these
do
kins
that.
out loud, so I have a reference sheet whenever the topic comes up.
Oh wow, this guy's. Oh wait, yeah, this is on your fucking website. You insane psycho, you.
What is this?
Holy shit, there's so many of them.
Let's fucking
Yeah,
go
that's
fast.
probably pretty bad.
Oh, hey, Yakko's on there.
Oh wow.
Well, yeah, that's a
Base,
Gecko
base.
is definitely me. The way he
Freakazoid.
interacts with his siblings is very much like, oh yeah, that's me.
Wait, fuck,
Let's,
Vrska's
let-
on here. Oh no!
I knew you were a con artist from step one.
Wow. This is
Why
There's too
you
many
you
characters
chose
here,
the
I can't
fucking
read
you
this.
chose the fucking Pacifica Northwest from the anime, from the anime short,
From-
right? Like
what's the name of that?
Gravity Falls, but anime.
Yeah, the one that you can find on YouTube, no place else.
I was about to say. I thought. I was about to say. Oh, this is done by the porn guy, right?
And
don't
Kaiki is
think I have a
Kaiki
kin
is the
list.
fucking best.
I should have like an ironic kin list, I guess.
I,
Yeah,
I
it's
it
a
would be
quote unquote
funny.
ironic. Yeah.
I I think in my head it would have to be probably. I do probably kin the Monarch from Venture Bros. I do feel very similar to him. Like, also the bird guy from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Specifically, like the TV season. I relate to a lot to him, and
I can see it.
yeah. When I was younger, I used to relate a lot to Josh from Drake and Josh. I was like, oh, I'm just like Josh.
Oh wait, let me
Everyone's
find my
mean
kin
to me.
list.
Do you also like really enjoy Oprah?
No, sorry. That's my one thing that I can't fully kin Josh. I do relate to Oh wow.
Ooh.
Yeah,
My mom sounds like so similar. Like she has a doctor girlfriend voice.
really? Was she
She's-
a big smoker?
Oh yeah, she's like a 3-pack a day chaser.
Oh
Damn.
wow.
Wow.
Man,
She
Venture Brothers
okay?
is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I love
Oh
her.
yeah,
My
also
mom-
is your mom okay? Jeez.
Oh, she's fine. Like she's been doing this since like I want to say like the mid 70s.
What's this? There's this like weird thing where like either the cigarette kills you or it makes you like
Stronger.
Because there's there's always the story of like, yeah, my nana used to smoke 5 packs a day and she lived to be 102. Like, oh god.
I think that's gonna be my mom because like my mom.
Your mom is gonna be the
stop.
fucking grandma from SpongeBob in the wheelchair from the chocolate episode.
Yeah.
She already has like the wheelchair thing going on just in case.
Oh wow, she's halfway there.
She like my mom is a really interesting character because she has this like 3-pack a day, chain smoking doctor girlfriend voice. She like coughs in between some of her words sometimes, but she loves to talk. She is kind of like hunched over, so she's even shorter than me, and I'm 5 foot nothing.
Damn.
She uses like a
Damn, you're
cane
tiny.
that has like
She must be double tiny.
yeah, she's really tiny, and her cane has a dragon's head on it, and then it's like a sculpted like piece of glass that looks like fire coming out of the mouth.
That's hard.
And then on the end, she has a lighter.
That's fucking
So
awesome.
she can turn it over.
Your mom is
That's
Is it
crazy.
your mom or grandma?
My mom.
Your mom is a fucking baller. How old is she?
Yeah,
She's only like 56.
Damn.
She's
your mom is
also
a
got this
character.
like
My dad is
wild,
77.
crazy. Wow. My mom also went to art school, which is where
Oh,
she
shit,
met
my dad did too. I mean, my mom did too. But she dropped
Yeah,
out.
my mom. Yeah, so did my mom.
That's baller.
My
That's
my,
cool.
my dad also dropped out of art school.
Yeah, so
to
did I.
Pursue an English teacher.
That's the real move. It's to drop out of art school.
I did 40% and dropped.
All the greats drop out.
I did.
I'm sorry.
I hear
I went to
if you
SCAD in
leave,
Atlanta.
you're accosted by a
Oh, hey,
grand
so did-
master who gives you like the drawing powers.
You went to SCAD in Atlanta?
Ooh.
Like, when did you go? Because so did my fiance.
Off and on from 2018 to 2021.
Okay, I think he graduated in 2018. So, you might have seen him, you might have not. That's
Yeah,
okay.
I went over. I went.
It's rare to see people going to the Atlanta campus instead of, like, the Savannah campus.
Yeah, I mean, I live like 30 minutes from Atlanta, so it was convenient.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I love doxing myself on the internet. I think that's wonderful.
That's fine. I say my city, but
Yeah, I
other
say-
episodes
I say my full legal. I say my fucking city. I say.
I'm like, yeah, it's San Diego. I just say it casually in other episodes. I mean,
And my address is 1-1.
fucking oh, man, something that I think we were talking about. We weren't necessarily talking about this, but like something I always thought was kind of interesting was when people create characters that feel like they're coded a specific way, but that wasn't done like on purpose. You know?
My
And-
entire life has been built over obsessing characters like that. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of did that with. I remember with my alien girlfriend. Actually, there was a handful of people that told me that these characters feel very like transcoded, and I'm like, that's cool. That's awesome. I'm glad. I wasn't trying to do that.
Yeah, don't let the fact that you've been told that affect how you make it, because then it may affect what works.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
And I agree too. I think that's the best way to do it. I think some really good advice was I forget the name, but the actor who played Data on Star Trek: New Generation. Something that people told him was like, "Oh, Data feels very like autistic. He feels like autistic coded," and he's all like, "Oh, that's interesting." But he kind of like he told himself that, but he's not going to play Data as autistic. He's going to play Data as Data.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
Data is
Yeah.
it wasn't I guess written to be autistic. He was written to be this android that's learning about humans, and that should be kind of top priority because like you might fuck up somewhere if you try to play him as autistic. You know, you might like make it seem bad. You know, because there's characters who. All the characters that people have tried to written as autistic, and they come off as kind of like offensive.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. The entire timeline
Yeah.
was filled with the funny doctor for like 2 weeks or whatever. You remember that?
He may not be. Yeah,
God.
exactly. See, this is what I mean by you can't write autistic characters. You just gotta let people decide if they're
Although-
autistic.
I don't
Look,
necessarily.
if you're autistic, you can write as many autistic
I don't know.
characters as you
I
want.
think people can have a good understanding of autism without being autistic. Like, you can go out of your way to like write the autism, just like don't make it a caricature of it like that is. Like,
Right, exactly.
Like-
There's some pretty
when it comes to autism or just like any minority group, but obviously I feel most impassioned about the ones that I'm specifically involved in, as is the selfish human nature.
Mhm.
I'm just like, a character doesn't need a reason to be this or to do this or whatever. Like, just fucking put him in
Yeah.
or whatever. Like when I look at a cast of characters in like let's say like a fucking comic comes out or whatever. Like I'm looking at a manga or something, and there's a main character cast of like 6 characters, and I'm looking at them, and they all look like pretty like regular average Joes or whatever, and I'm like, one of these should just be trans or whatever, and it's
Yeah.
and I think I like there's like so many trans people now or whatever. Like it's like weirder to have it not be just like there to me.
Too many in my opinion.
Yeah, ooh. Yeah,
A
don't
little
get me
too many.
started.
Too many. Maybe these trans people should go back to Cybertron. I'm tired of them being in my fucking country. Oh boy.
I made a picture of Peter as a girl because everyone kept telling me that Peter could be saved by transition,
You,
and I was like, she'd literally be exactly the same.
you um.
There's no differences here.
Oh man,
She has titties. That's it.
Speaking of gender bed, there's been
Speaking
a lot
of
of
comics
discourse.
based around that.
Yeah, speaking of that, there's been a lot of discourse about gender bending characters. I've noticed.
It varies depending on like if you know. I'll let you started the conversation.
Yeah, it was someone drew like a femme version of Miguel O'Hara from
Oh
the
yeah,
Across the
yeah,
Spider-Verse
thick
movie.
thighs lady, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, she would be muscular, you fucking slut, and it's like,
Right, and that's like a big old back and forth. I do get people's point by saying that, like, yeah, it is kind of boring if, like, oh, the gender bed version is just, like, the thick thighs with big boobs version. It's how I felt when I saw people, like, gender bed Pepino from, like, Pizza Tower. It's like, why did you make her into a skinny, cute girl? She should be, like, a big, fat Italian woman, just like Pepino. Like, she doesn't need to...
Yeah.
She doesn't need this. She doesn't need to be this skinny like anime girl. It's kind of dull. The same with like, fuck. Actually, I think I canceled some people who were like drawing the femme Dr. Eggman as a skinny anime girl too. That's like boring.
Yeah.
That being said, like yeah, you probably shouldn't just always be quote tweeting people and shitting on them for doing that. You could veg tweet about them like a normal person.
yeah, true.
Yeah, like there's no reason that you have to like directly quote retweet their art and be like, "Hey, just so you know, I think you should like kill yourself for doing it wrong."
Right, exactly. I was thinking about making a Twitter account where I look for like people's like Jajinka's art of like like oh they turned a character that isn't human into a human, and just look for a lot of them and just start quote tweeting them saying quote tweeting every single one of them with a quote tweet that says why are they white, and just say that to all of them.
Yeah, true. Why did you choose to do that?
Why are they white? Like they just all that would be like a shitstorm, and people would probably mass report the account.
No, that's based.
Yes.
I think it's funny and based, but I can't say that publicly. Only on my podcast that no one listens to.
Do you put this anywhere other than YouTube?
Don't worry, I listen to every episode.
Thank you. It's just YouTube for now.
Yeah,
later
I was thinking like, what's the fucking? Have you like looked into the process of like putting it on like Podbean or like Spotify or like?
That's like the go-to. I don't know, because like I'm kind of like in this like I'm in this like half committed relationship with this podcast, if you will.
It's your dumping ground,
basically. It's like a dumping ground, but at the same time, I'm like taking this seriously, trying to make an episode every week. But at the same time, I'm like, but maybe I should put it on Podbean, yada yada. But then that's gonna have to be a whole process. And I'm already working on 5 other fucking things. It's
yeah.
I don't know. It's a lot of things. I mean, I want to eventually. I want to get an editor. So
Yeah,
we don't just start uploading them weekly. I could start putting them on my Patreon like before they come out.
again, yet again, the the shift from the podcast I am regularly on to this one could not be more apparent, because there is like no editing and no cool backup bots. I feel rude for saying this. The dude that puts it up is fucking awesome. He's I haven't talked about it while it was recording. Actually, I should probably do that.
I think Fast and Loose podcasts are fine. Okay, eventually, in maybe 15 years, I'll get the Joe Rogan setup.
Yeah.
When we go through my fifth or fourth, basically this podcast was originally called the Cheesy Cast, but then I stopped doing that, and then I brought it back basically as Main Character Syndrome, and then that was on hiatus for a minute.
Is the Cheesy Cast archived anywhere?
It's on this channel. It's all still on this channel. This basically is my podcast dumping ground channel, right? Because I just get different ideas for podcasts where we talk about just random stuff or whatever I fucking feel like. I do plan to just put like regular videos on this channel. I got a couple of just like ideas for videos. Oh fuck, I forgot to mention this earlier, but maybe I should actually do this, and it could be a pretty funny bit. I can make like a 20-hour long video where I list off every single white character in every single piece of media ever created.
Bro, what would be the fucking point?
Wait. The point would be like, so if anyone ever says like, there's too many like POC characters, just
At
reply
that
with
point,
this video.
You don't have to voice it. You're just plug it into a fucking computer, and it still gets the point. It still lists the names, and it's still like 20 hours long. It gets the point across.
Yeah,
you don't have to kill yourself.
It'd be a funny. Actually, you know what? That might actually make me. I was kind of memeing for a second, but maybe you're making me really consider actually just doing that.
Yeah. Okay. You see now, by making it more feasible, I took away more of your time by making it so you actually do that.
Right. Exactly. So yeah.
That is the cruelty of the universe.
So if anyone says like, there isn't any white people in the Spider-Verse movie, just reply with this video saying like, bro, there's a lot of white people. There's a lot of white people.
Even if there weren't, why
else
does it matter that they be in the Spider-Verse movie? Go to fucking the other 12 white Spider-Man movies.
There's the majority of the Spider-Man movies are white, dude. The majority of the guys he fights are white. It's majority white people. It's fine. It's not
everyone's favorite Spider-Man, that spectacular animated series, super white. I think there's only like 2 non-white characters in that show.
I think
Spectacular Spider-Man.
And you know what? That's all that shit. All that shit is fucking fictional anyway. So who cares?
Yeah, white people aren't real.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've been saying. They ain't real, so who cares? It's all ass.
But yeah, I'm gonna plug this podcast I'm on real quick, if that's okay with you, Cheesy.
Oh wait, plug.
Where are you gonna plug it into?
You're gonna plug this podcast on another podcast, or you're gonna plug another podcast?
I'm gonna plug the podcast that I'm on regularly.
Oh, okay.
Like you're gonna promote it.
Okay.
I was like, where is it going?
Well,
what outlet?
Well, it's not time to plug just yet.
I thought that. Oh shit! I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, now I feel like the fool.
We still gotta do our ending bit.
I thought that I had missed the window because the start of the podcast was the plug shit. You know.
It's fine. Oh, I mean, you mentioned the Dilbert podcast at the start, right?
Before we recorded.
Ah, shit. Okay. Fuck.
Well, now people are just gonna be waiting in suspense, like, why the fuck are you doing a Dilbert podcast?
Oh, all right. You know what?
Because it's funny.
Let's just do the who we're gonna cancel first bit. Actually, no, we gotta say the catchphrase of the podcast first. What's the catchphrase? You guys know?
I've only been on here once.
You want to take a guess, Holly? If you don't know, you can just say you don't know. It's fine.
I'm trying to think of a funny guess. I couldn't even think of that.
Okay, it's fine. Julian, what's our catchphrase?
The catchphrase of main character syndrome is "We love women."
True.
Oh yeah,
We love
you
women.
did say that.
That's
Fuck.
so true.
Yeah, that
We
is
do
our
love
catchphrase.
women.
We love women. We love women. Fuck, hot take, even more than men. Shit. If I was in a room locked with a man or a woman, and I had a gun with 2 bullets, let's just say that man's gonna eat an extra bit of lead that night. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Let's just say that man's brains
We
are gonna
love
be all over
women.
the wall.
Let's just say I'm gonna put a little bit more lead in his diet.
I'm gonna murder that man with a weapon.
I'm gonna murder that man. It's just gonna be me alone with that woman in the room.
Don't worry, I did it for you, Queen.
No, I'll shoot the man, then I shoot myself, so she'll be totally safe. No man could threaten her. And I'll just give her trauma.
What a fucking good slogan for the podcast.
What if I could a catchphrase?
Yeah. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah, exactly. We're the only podcast that admits that we love women. We're the only podcast that will do that.
The only
You
podcast
may actually
brave
be
enough
the
to
only
admit
podcast
that it
that
loves
does
women.
love
Mm-hmm. Right. Just assume all other podcasts hate women, except for this one, which shouldn't be easy to grasp because I feel like the majority of podcasters do hate women. It's just kind of the vibe.
It feels like it sometimes.
Yeah, it does. Not even a lot of them won't even. That's why a lot of women won't date podcasters.
Yeah, it's true. Everyone in this call right now, actually, when we stop recording this podcast, goes back to hating women.
True, exactly.
When it's over.
It's like it's a spell.
You're like, I hate them. I hate those women.
All right.
Confound those women. They drive me to drink.
I'm currently in an ongoing hate campaign against a lesbian. We have a mutual tit for tat going on, but it's put on hold. I tell her, hey, stop. I have to do main character syndrome right now.
Don't do
Stop,
don't
gotta
do
go.
any more.
That's like hating women twice, because that's a woman who loves women.
Yeah,
True.
Exactly. If you hate her and you hate any woman she's with, unless she's some sort of like femcel lesbian,
That's my next comment.
the femcel lesbian.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's just gonna be titled femcel lesbian, and that's it. And everyone's gonna read it, and they're gonna be like, "Why does this suck?"
I'm sending both of you friend requests. You're awesome.
They're going to say, Twitter lied to
Oh,
me. This is
yay!
not what femcells are supposed to be like.
No, this is not what they're like. They're supposed to be cute and have smelly rooms, and I love femcells. Oh, what's
Why does she have depression? This isn't fun anymore.
God, I think a buddy of mine sent me a fucking it was like a chart that was like, the fucking femcel murderer look, and it's like these women that are like that have killed someone and been trialed for murdering someone, and they all have like a consistent look to them. They got glasses and long dark hair. That's the notorious femcel murderer look.
Damn.
You know what I'm talking about?
Ooh. The femcel typography.
Femcel
I'm pretty
typography,
sure I've seen
yeah.
that.
Whoa, what the fuck? This just in? The Kraven the Hunter trailer dropped? Holy shit. Fuck yeah, we're gonna get Kraven.
They're actually making
Yep,
it?
they're making it, and also apparently Rhino is in it.
What is-
Why?
Wait,
What
wasn't
can-
Rhino in
is
the
this an
Amazing
MCU
Spider-Man?
thing?
Is it
What
the
is
same
this?
Rhino?
No, this is not an MCU thing. This is the Sonyverse.
Okay, but is it in
They
the
have the-
same verse as like Venom?
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe.
Because
It could
Venom
be.
is like
I'm-
half in the MCU. Venom got a
Venom-
cameo.
Venom, he because of interdimensional portals ended up in the MCU for just a second as a quick little gag, and Morbius is like the Vulture ended up in Morbius, and I think Kraven is canon to the Morbius and Venom movies. Maybe they all gotta team up. God, what a fucking
I
shit
remember when Ultimate Spider-Man was new, there was a recurring gag where Kraven was a reality TV show.
show. Yeah.
Is it going to be anything like that?
No, this one he's like, he had an awful father, and when he was a child, a lion attacked him, and a little bit of lion blood mixed in with his blood, and it was radioactive lion. I'm not making this up. This is in the trailer. It was like radioactive lion's blood. And he's like, oh, now I have lion-based hunter powers that I use to hunt people because I'm Craven the Hunter.
I hope they ADR like a little lion growl into his dialogue.
When his eyes turned into lion eyes and a little ADR lion growl plays.
That's actually how every single companion is made. It's from radioactive cat's blood.
Yeah, exactly. They put it into the bodies of little girls, and they become cat girls. Oh god! Oh my god! All right,
they can't keep getting away with it.
Okay, enough about that. Let's. Who deserves to get canceled this week, guys?
I've like never deleted any tweet I've ever made on Twitter since I've had my account since I was 14, so I'm probably gonna get destroyed.
Yeah, especially all those. Maybe you should go back and delete all the slurs you said. You know, maybe that. It wouldn't hurt to delete a couple of the tweets where you say slurs. You know.
Why are you assuming that I said this?
Oh, what
a crazy!
You could cancel somebody else.
Didn't we all used to say slurs?
Yeah.
When we started Twitter, we just tweet out slurs just casually, or is that just me?
I don't think I've ever like actually posted unironic slurs on Twitter, but I do. Say slurs.
I don't think most people have. I think most of the things are like, whoa, I'm being edgy, you know.
I like the whole bit about like someone like realizing they're the only one that does the one specific thing that they thought everyone else did, but it's not true. Like, oh yeah, we all just say slurs. Like, no, only you said slurs.
You guys, you guys don't take baths with ice cubes in it?
I had an idea for one comic where a guy's like, I don't like NTR porn. It always makes me feel bad. And then someone's like, why would it make you feel bad? And he's all like, because I feel bad that the guy is getting cucked. And he's all like, wait, are you projecting yourself as the guy, as the cuckold? And he's like, hey, this guy projects himself as the cuckold, not the bull. And he's singled out because he just thought everyone didn't like it. He just thought that you're supposed to project as the cuckold and not the bull. Which, in my opinion, that's how you should. That's how the real way to enjoy NTR is. You gotta project as the bull. You can't be the cuckold because you're enjoying it wrong. Unless you're into that, you know. Oh god. But yeah, I'm gonna cancel Latin America. Just the whole fucking, just all of them. Fucking throw them. Just do it. Good.
Canceled.
Anyone want to cancel someone? Anyway,
I have one.
All right, go ahead, Julian.
I finished Echo by Terry Moore the other day, and you know, it's not often I get to say this, but I think we should cancel Terry Moore.
What's Echo?
It is a comic about a lady with like silver-ish superpowers. It's really unclear. I don't actually understand what her superpowers are. But
that was
these
maybe
characters, they travel around the world. They interact with like weird scientific stuff that's happening, and they're like, we got to figure it out, you guys. And some of it is kind of cool, but other parts of it are kind of boring. I was drawn to it because it's all drawn in black and white, and I thought, oh wow, a black and white Terry Moore book. I'll check it out. And I didn't like it.
Damn. Well, Terry Moore is canceled.
It's not awful, but Terry Moore, you're canceled. Do better next time.
Terry Moore is canceled for making an okay book. Got him.
I think I'm probably going to have to cancel myself this week because I found out that I've been eating noodles wrong my entire life.
You've been eating
noodles
wrong? How have you been eating them?
Well, a long time. Maybe in this case I should actually cancel my grandpa because he's the one who told me.
Uh-oh.
He said that it was rude to bite noodles, but like in my head I was like, oh, so it's like rude to chew them because you would be biting them over and over again?
Wait, so
yeah, what does that mean?
Wait,
so I just swallowed them whole.
What the fuck? Oh God.
I just choke on those.
Wait a second. What? Wait, what? What about when you like poop? Was it did you just complete fucking noodles? Just
Well, when I would throw up noodles, because I got heat exhaustion recently, and one of the symptoms is nausea, and I had spaghetti that night, and then I just like threw up, and they were all fully formed, and my fiance looks in the toilet and is like, why are there noodles here? And I was like, because we had spaghetti. And he was like, have you been not chewing your noodles? And I was like, you're supposed to chew them?
what the?
Oh my god.
Yeah, hey, Gloomy, that's kind of fucked
So
up.
I think I'm gonna cancel myself for eating noodles wrong.
I'm really. That's yeah. I think
You're
you
canceled, but every
deserve
person
to get
listening who
canceled,
has
yeah.
not eaten their noodles, they feel so seen. You're their martyr now.
I just didn't know you were supposed to chew them. But now, I realize that they're actually good if you chew them.
You used to fucking hate them because
yeah.
of your misunderstanding of your grandpa's rules.
Yes!
Well,
For 28 years! 28 years! And I could have died, I
Oh
found
yeah,
out.
I choke on noodles all the time, and I knew you could chew them. I just sucked at it.
So I think what your grandfather was saying is that if you're eating traditional noodles, it's supposed to be like good manners to slurp the noodles. Like you don't chop up the noodles before they go into your mouth or anything like that. If people hear
Yeah,
you slurping, that's like a compliment to the chef because
right.
they made a sturdy, lengthy, and edible noodle
Yes.
that you then chew when it's in your mouth.
Well, I didn't know the second step. See, this is why I'm canceled.
yeah, nah. You're kind of a. That's kind of the freakiest thing I ever heard you say about your people. That's kind of like.
Yeah,
a little
can
too
I
much.
can I rescind my friend request?
No, I already accepted it. See, I'd like to give a formal apology for my cancellation. It was a mistake. Going forward, going forward, I will be chewing all of my noodles. I am going to repair the damage that I have, uh, wrought on the Italian community.
Yeah, the most
Um,
offensive thing. What the how Latin American people hate primos. The Italians gotta hate you for the way you fucking just slurp the fucking noodles. Just swallow the noodles whole. How do you even like? How do you not choke on it? Like what? How wide is your throat? What the fuck?
I always thought they were like throat shaped,
Oh,
so I would
God.
just eat one at a time.
Oh my god!
It would
Imagine
take
if
me
someone
so
went
long
out
to
to,
eat
like,
spaghetti or ramen.
You kind of
an Italian like chef and said, "Did you hear? Gloomypunks does not chew their noodles." And this guy, this like old Italian guy, is like, "What are you talking about? I don't understand what you're saying. What the heck is a gloomy?"
but he says in Italian. Back to them.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I think, yeah, nah. You put a dark thought in my mind because now I want to try it. Like, now I want to try to see if I can just swallow the noodle whole.
This is why I'm canceled.
Yeah, this is evil. You spread darkness around.
Is this one of those forbidden knowledge
It's a
things you don't tell
forbidden
people?
thought. Like, you could technically do this. I mean, it's not what normal people do, but you could technically do it. You could.
This is the true evil autism.
Yeah, this is the real. This is the subtle, manipulative, like getting. This is psychological evil autism. Oh god. Oh my god. Who? Okay, who else got to turn canceling someone? Who? Has everyone said everyone they want to cancel?
I didn't say anyone, but I can't think of anyone.
There's. It doesn't gotta be
Well,
a
as
person.
long as you're not canceled.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a person. It could be like a concept or a group of people.
Fucking the chairs in Golden Corral. They hurt my ass.
Damn, there's no more Golden
That's so
Corrals in my
valid.
area anymore. Actually, we didn't have Golden Corrals. We had a hometown buffets.
We have Lubies.
Yeah,
What a
And
fucking
that-
name.
the last surviving. All we have are like Chinese buffets over here. That's all we got, and they're delicious.
It's probably better. I mean, they hurt her ass.
They do. Have we tried going to a Chinese buffet next time, Holly?
I don't like Chinese food.
What?
Wow.
Wow.
Oh,
Maybe you're
actually, you know
canceled,
what? Now I
after
know
all.
what to cancel. Thank you for...
The Chinese.
It's not the Chinese or the nation thereof.
All right.
It is soy sauce.
Oh, you don't like? That's interesting. You don't like soy sauce?
Yeah, okay,
Too
so...
salty?
It is really
the
salty.
thing is, I fucking love salt to an unhealthy degree. I crave salt so much. My favorite meal of all time is my friends will all fucking complain about it because I've made it for them and they hate it. It's like vile to them. I concocted it when I was a child. Feta cheese. You know feta cheese? Like,
Oh, I love feta
Yeah.
cheese.
bowl of white rice, buttered, salted, beyond comprehension. Feta cheese with that, and root beer.
I would eat that.
And it's
not
just
gonna
a
lie.
concentration of salty taste. One time I added anchovies to it, and I felt like my heart was gonna explode. But yeah,
I just heard a scream from the other room, so I'm sorry, but I'm gonna go help my fiance.
oh okay,
Alright,
yeah, you
okay.
go do that.
I'm sorry.
Quick note. You're trans, but you don't ingest the soy. Explain.
That, believe it or not, the medication I take for this shit was gonna get brought up in this story.
That's good.
I hope
that's interesting.
Gloomy's fiance or partner or whoever the fuck is okay.
Yeah, I hope I hope they can get back because we're gonna wrap up soon, and I want them to plug their stuff.
Yeah. But no. On top of just like loving salt from a young age, one of the medications I have to take for like hormone shit is spironolactone, which makes you crave salt. On top of that, and also my family has heart disease issues, so really I'm just a ticking time bomb.
Yeah,
but-
sounds like you were set up to genetically fail.
Yeah. But anyways, I hate soy sauce because it's too sweet.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, people always look at me like I'm fucking weird when I say this.
Yeah, because it is fucking weird to say that. That is a fucking weird
One
thing
time
to say.
I was like, my family got Chinese food, right? And I was like, okay, I don't really like any of this extra shit or whatever. I'm just gonna have white rice, whatever. And this was me when I was like 15 or whatever, so maybe I was just stupid, but I tried it multiple times around that period of time. I went to like just put salt on it. My mom was like, "What? Just put soy sauce on it." It's like, what is? I just want salt, like I want the salty taste on it to like help mask the mediocrity of white rice,
Yeah, this does sound like.
But like
this does sound like a autistic thing. You're right.
But like, I think I'm just stupid.
Maybe.
But and then I was like, okay, like if you're telling me this is just like salt in liquid form, I'm getting ready to open this door. Maybe I'll become soy sauce proponent number 1. I doubt it. I put it on, took a bite. Why do I taste something other than salt here? This should be pure salt. What the fuck is wrong with this? It's too sweet. It was too sweet. And I didn't understand it. And everybody looked at me like I was crazy. Like, what the fuck? It's not sweet. Yeah, it is.
You know what? Now I kind of want to. I want to see if I want to compare it, just salt compared to just soy sauce, because there might be, because soy sauce doesn't exactly taste like salt. There is like something a little different.
Yeah,
about
if it's
it.
not exactly salt, then it's not salt in liquid form, and I don't fucking want it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes from a bean or
Maybe I just
something.
perceived the otherness in addition to the salt as sweetness, because anything
Yeah.
compared to salt in that instance is sweetness. Like, Like, I fucking hate sweetened chicken or sweetened meats. That's horrible.
Really?
Yeah, it's...
Like, you don't like bulgogi?
No, meat is meant to be salty. You know what? I feel that way about most foods, but particularly meat.
This is
Ideal meat.
Episode you're on.
Ideal meat consumption. Okay, slab of meat, salt on it, cheese, milk. Consume.
Yeah, are you sure if your family has a heart problem issue, or just they have a like you just eat terrible?
I didn't learn this from them. None of my family is like this.
This is I think you should just cancel yourself.
Yeah, my grandpa died of a heart attack at 57 because he was a horrible smoker, not because of this.
Damn, he wasn't one of the chosen few where smoking gives him immortality.
Yeah, no, it's really a roll.
Have you ever tried a salt substitute?
It's not off the table.
Like you go on twitter.com and you just like absorb all
it was a joke. It was a funny joke you were leading into.
I get the bet. I believe that there was a salt substitute because I'm like, there's like a sugar substitute, right? And there might be a salt one, but okay, I did.
I hope Gloomy's okay.
Okay, well, in any case, let's just go to the plug section. Holly, you could plug. What do you want to plug, Holly?
What do people that do this like typically like replug the shit they plugged at the start but faster?
Yeah, do it. Just
yeah.
Them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
People don't remember. People need reminders.
The one I'm most known for, You Woke Up as a Girl This Morning, ! You can find that on Webtoon and MangaDex, and it's also the pinned tweet of my Twitter account at HDITTUS13. I also make another comic, an action comic called Tiercom, at tirkom.thecomicseries.com. And I am on a podcast called The Dillcast, that will be celebrating its 50th episode sometime soon.
Nice.
With Gabalatula, the creator of It Hurts, if you've heard of that comic.
Oh, yeah, I heard about It Hurts.
Yeah, It Hurts and Please Forgive Me. It was big on 4chan a while back.
Oh, I know. It Hurts was huge on 4chan.
Yeah, I do the podcast with Gob, and Stuart Jip, who makes a comic called Merry Hell, and two others, Shockslayer and Grizzlegrax, who don't have any high-profile like creative projects that they have ongoing, but we sort of
Grizzlegrax does other podcasts too, doesn't he?
Yeah. But yeah, we it's called the Dillcast because every episode we read a Dilbert strip, just like the Dilbert comic strip, and it was started before the high profileness of Scott Adams being insane. It was started like people knew that he was like an insane like Trump guy or whatever, right? Like the creator of Dilbert, but like it wasn't like the most recent shit or whatever when like Dilbert was trending or whatever. But like it's kind of added another layer of comedy to it, or at least endearingness to me.
No, I get you. I thought the vibe was that you guys started when he was like obviously going crazy, but now. I've
only been on for the most recent 5 episodes, but I was originally only supposed to be on as a guest. But like now it's just like the 5 of us, and we cycle in and out depending on who can record and who can't, so we can put out consistent episodes. But there's been
What is the general vibe like? Does someone scream "Dogbert" moment whenever Dogbert is like?
This podcast is about Dilbert in the same way Aqua Teen Hunger Force is about detectives.
Oh wow.
Oh.
We talk about a Dilbert strip for 10 minutes at the start, and then talk about completely
Dilbert
unrelated shit for 40 minutes.
Yeah, Dilbert's just an excuse to have a podcast.
Yeah, it's Stuart Jip, the person who edits the podcast and does all this, I feel bad for saying oh, this podcast is so much fancier, but but like yeah, he does a great job. He he uh he's a podcast aficionado. He's on like a lot of them or whatever. He like I think he just like looked over at his shelf one morning and saw a Dilbert compendium and was like, yeah, okay.
Just casually had a Dilbert compendium.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Gob had ever looked in the direction of a Dilbert comic before.
Nice.
He's
Interesting.
The show has developed its series of little funny segments and recurring gags and shit, as you would expect, or whatever. Like Gob does a Scott Adams impression voice every now and then, and we just sort of pretend Scott Adams is there. It's good stuff.
Gotcha.
Have you gotten to the Dilbert cartoon yet?
I keep pushing for it because I want us to like consume something good and talk about it.
Is the Dilbert cartoon considered good?
It's like actually good.
I'm a fan of the
It's
cartoon.
like legitimately good.
Like Scott Adams, notwithstanding.
I never even heard if it was like good or not.
Before I learned about the Dilbert cartoon when I was like scrolling Netflix when I was 11 or whatever on my PS3.
Mm-hmm.
And I like just clicked on it and I was like, this is cool. I didn't even know it was a comic strip. And as I grew up, I just sort of thought of it in the same way people thought about, like, oh, it's so sad Mission Hill never got another season, you know? Like, oh, it's so sad Clone High never got a season. Knock on wood.
My first girlfriend and I would pantomime the opening theme together.
The Dilbert cartoon?
That's how much of a fan I am.
Funny thing, that theme, it's like by Danny Elfman, right?
Yeah.
The opening theme of the Dilbert cartoon is by Danny Elfman. Even funnier, it's not an original theme. It's the intro to Danny Elfman and his brother's film Forbidden Zone. They just took the theme from that and put it in the Dilbert cartoon. But it's like a new recording. It's not like they just like took it, but they just were like, I don't feel like composing a new thing for the fucking Dilbert cartoon. It has a really impressively animated intro, animated by Rough Draft, with like crazy camera turns and shit. I don't know. The Dilbert cartoon is very un-Dilbert in that it's like good.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I like that episode where they go to the third world country to like find out what's happening with their factory, and then they like fix the political system of the country, but it's just to make sure that the corporation can continue to have products.
Yeah, the show was just like good, which was weird, and it also had like a serialized story going on in the background.
Yeah,
it was kind of odd. The Twitter is just at the Dillcast, one word, and the podcast is on like Spotify and Apple's podcast app and like Podbean and shit like that.
A good April Fool's gag for whoever's in charge of the Dillcast. Just change it to being about dill pickles from Rugrats.
I think that joke has
Just
been made.
Jump scare everyone who listens to the show. Oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't. All the dill puns have been milked ad infinitum. I can tell you.
All right, and you can see more of that on the Dillcast, right?
Yeah.
More, yeah. All right,
Yeah,
good. All right, cool. Julia, plug your thing,
Yeah.
please.
But don't forget to listen to Main Character
Listen to
Syndrome.
Main Character Syndrome first. Actually, you just got
you know,
the whole
I'll plug
Dillcast
main
experience already.
The next episode I'm on, I'll plug Main Character Syndrome.
Thank you, Julia. Plug yourself, please.
Yes. Please go to vqcd.in. That's my website. A website you can go to because it's got cool stuff.
Thank you. Yes, good. Gloomy, are you there? Oh, she's not there. But read Catgirl on Webtoons. Follow Gloomypunk on Twitter. All her stuff is great. It's 10 out of 10.
Cat Space Girl.
And buy a custom companion character artwork. Those are
Yeah,
cool.
she takes commissions
Pay
too.
her to do those.
And she's got a lot of cool, interesting stuff down the pipe. She's always posting work in progress in my private server.
I have had
which is
very
great, so I see
limited
all that stuff.
I've had very limited exposure to her work, but it looks very nice, and I will look into it.
Yeah. Holly's gonna read it right after this podcast is finished.
I'm gonna fucking sleep right after this podcast is finished.
No, she's gonna read it.
I have work in 8 hours.
All of it. Nah, she's gonna read all of it. She's not gonna go to sleep.
I'm gonna read all of it and not go to sleep.
Okay, but enough about that. You know me, Cheesymanfredo. Extra Souls, read Extra Souls. We're trying to make that big and huge because we want to make as much money as possible because you need money to live in this world, and that's the annoying part of it. But Extra Souls is
Let's
good.
get Extra Souls to Netflix.
Let's get the Extra Souls is the first comic to sell extra $1 dollars.
That's true. I don't know any other comic that's sold that much.
Yeah, exactly.
That amount.
Exactly. Right, exactly. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for listening to Main Character Syndrome. This has been Main Character Syndrome. Yes. Good. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Add Gloomy saying goodbye in post.